did still feel that we didn't see that totally outstanding nail test. And since, just to show how much I do listen to Radio Badminton, listening to Matt on the way out, I thought he summed it up really well. He said, watertight. There wasn't really a watertight test.
Aside from Michael Young? Or...
well, he didn't quite get that brave. He just said that he inferred that everything could be more watertight.
Well, just coming into the arena is Ben Hobday, and he's trying to tell the crowd to be shush, but I think actually everybody want to just be pleased to see him back, but and competing here after his battle with cancer last year. But the crowd were excited, but he doesn't want to get his horse too buzzed up. But coming into the arena, you obviously know Ben well, and Pammy as well. It's great. I mean, not easy what he had to go through last year, but great to see him back competing.
Yeah, fantastic. Ben's one of the biggest personalities in eventing. This horse has probably got the biggest feet in eventing. And yeah, they're a great combination. Great owners, great horse, and yeah, fantastic to see them in the main arena.
Well, he will be beginning. Sorry, I cut you off in mid-flow there, did I, Pammy?
No, that's perfectly right. The bell has actually gone, and you're quite right. I can see why he would want quite a lot of quiet, so very quiet in the stands. The horse has come in what Carl could call, and I could pull Carl's leg, the more uphill position, but actually a little too uphill. Just needs to be softer and more relaxed over the whole of his top line. He's going forward and riding the medium trot, HSPF, which we call the dog leg because it is hell to ride because it keeps turning. And it's very, very hard to maintain the rhythm over that. However, I have to say, B found it a 7. That's quite good. Because he ran rather, didn't you think, Sam?
Yeah, yeah, I agree with you, Pammy. Actually, they found it quite hard to hit the 7 button first thing in the morning yesterday, so at least they've started off nicely.
Yeah, but it'd be quite a good idea if they hit the 7 button in the right place.
But I've often in this atmosphere, you can see Ben's horse is sort of wanting to look up and look around him, and Ben is sort of trying to say, no, please keep your head a little bit lower. That can happen in this arena, that it's just, you know, event horses, they don't get that opportunity to get out and about in an atmosphere like this, and particularly at the end of that diagonal, he's going straight towards the crowds and he's trying to say hello to everybody.
And a real pity, actually, because he really can extend. He opened up and the footfall was good, but he is slightly looking up to the heavens. He's just softening a little bit in the left half pass. And again, here as a rider, this would be a very difficult situation during these seconds to gain in softness and concentration. He's managing it now in collected walk as he rides forward to the halt and the rein back, and this proved to be quite expensive yesterday. The halt has to be square and utterly still, and it's stepped back, and then there's the resistance into the rein back. I think you have to count 1 elephant, 2 elephants, and probably 3 elephants in halt, and just remain completely still.
I learned to count in elephants when I was at Talent. That was one of my first lessons.
I think that came...
She taught me a lot of counting, because she taught me these changes that you have to sort of, you 1, 2, 3 change. Well, I don't know. I think they're called sequence changes or something. I just flung myself from one side to the other and
counting elephants.
Yeah, you see when you're in a dressage arena and you're an event rider, you tend to panic a bit and you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you try and get out of there as quickly as possible and go across country, particularly if you're Irish. And Pammy taught me to slow down and say 1 elephant, 2 elephant, and to actually take your time in the test.
Ah, all about the elephant.
Yeah, it helps.
So, now we've gone into canter. There is improved softness, the horse is settling. Though, just would be the word, which is really why the marks are at last coming to the 7s, which is only fairly good. I would hate to be a rider watching the scoreboard. I know when my daughter rides, she's always watching the scoreboard.
Yeah, it doesn't really achieve anything because
No.
you can't change what's happened, and it just distracts you.
But I'm one worse. I've got very, very good hearing. So when I hear a 5, I often want to sort of stop and say, I beg your pardon. I thought that was quite good. What are you talking about?
This is, and the difference, the horse is now is less tight, and when the neck is trying to get up and the rider is trying to get the neck down, the neck gets tight and then the back gets tight, and now the whole thing is just a little bit looser and a little bit softer than what we saw in the trot.
I once got had up and summoned to Badminton. Only once.
Back to speeding fines again.
Only once. No. I had a very difficult horse to get its dressage better because its head used to go a great deal higher than this horse that we're watching. And somebody caught me at the wrong moment and said, well, how did you improve it? Because I got its dressage phenomenally better. I said, oh, I put a concrete block. I hung it on pulleys. And word went round Badminton. And I was then summoned. I said, I beg your pardon. Try and think of the logistics of that.
Trying to put a
I was just cross and in a hurry.
Oh.
But anyway, you're riding that type of horse and you're just sitting there begging for the whole of the neck to go that little bit lower and softer.
dangle a carrot off the noseband or something and let it drop down. Yeah.
57.1 they scored here last year.
I think they might do. The canter work really did improve, and,
Yeah.
and sevens, they will get you quite a respectable score.
It got better and better.
Yeah.
Well, given now the crowd can applaud and appreciate Ben Hobday's effort.
Lovely mark at the end, 2.8. But he gave it a 6.5 because it wasn't quite square.
That's a good point again, yeah, because obviously the position of the judges, side on, they're really going to see, it's really all they can, well, it's the first thing they see is if the hold is square or not, whereas C, if he's dead straight, they won't see where the legs are.
They might not really see where the legs are. It might be a slight exaggeration.
If I was judging.
And he gets a great cheer.
Well,
Yeah.
it's a very popular
Really
character.
popular.
As Sam alluded to, he's the social media king, isn't he?
He is.
He's funny too with it. He does some good stuff. So
He's a great person
fun.
for the sport, you know.
Yeah.
Sport needs personalities, but he's talented too, you know, and yeah, and he's had plenty to deal with over the last 12 months, so everybody's delighted to see him back.
Yeah, and we'll wait his score. I think it's saying 51.8. 51.8, and that is nearly, in fact, that's his best dressage. According to your statistics, Sam, and it's not better be yours, correct?
Yeah, it's his best international score with this horse.
With 53.11, he done at Hope Town. Hope Town, is that how you...
Hoptoon, because it's in Scotland.
Yeah, well,
Hoptoon.
That's quite a good accent. Yeah, that's quite good. That's quite a good Scottish accent there. But
I was talking to a Welsh person this morning. I find it hard to keep a straight face.
well, there's a lot of Welsh people in our particular team as well. So
Right.
yes.
How's it going?
Yeah, was that Laurie you were talking to there? So anyway, so that is a great comeback, and 51.8. We'll obviously wait for confirmation, but he couldn't be more pleased with that. But now, well, coming into the arena, the god that is Mark Todd coming into the arena on Leonidas. And well, when did he first compete? With Blind Tape was 1990. Well, I'm sure Mark Todd was way before that. So here he is trying to win another title.
I have to say, I just love watching this man ride. I couldn't care less whether he was 20 or 60.
What is it that when you look at him with all your expert eyes that you suddenly go, that is riding perfection?
Well,
You've got a dreamy look. You've got a dreamy look.
Riding perfection, you can't see under the sunglasses. Riding perfection would not be the adjectives that I'd use. A horseman is the word that I would use here. So however Mark's badminton goes, this man is an absolute horseman.
Yeah.
And when you try to describe what a horseman is, that is really difficult. Because there aren't enough of them, first of all. He's riding this medium trot. He started at the right moment. Carl would have said pity he just didn't finish it by going to F. He's in an exceptionally good rhythm. riding forward really well to the shoulder in. Sitting darn well, isn't he?
He's sitting, yeah. God, I wish I could sit like that on the horse. He
Dream on.
Yeah, this man really is.
And beautiful half halt before the corner. We didn't talk much about half halts. Just a slight interruption in the walk rhythm. It just jogged. A good walk pirouette and keen to trot off, which I think he did the right thing then in taking it. Lovely rhythm in that extended trot. And again, excellent half halt at the K marker. The walk pirouette, I think that's going to just be marked down to the 6s because of the tension. The extended trot was quite right to get the 8.5. And the shoulder in and the half pass are again in a good rhythm.
The outline's going to be, he's on 6s and 6.5s there. I think some people are going to feel that nose is a little bit behind the vertical, aren't they?
And they're going to just, it's almost more, could the neck go a little longer? And again, a break in the walk. So we're not going to be looking quite at the winner here. The horse does have underlying tension.
Is that watertight example? The little bit of leaking going on as Matt Ryan
Yes.
was describing last
Well,
night.
now you've remembered, Rupert. I thought you'd totally glazed
You did
out.
only say about 5 minutes ago, Pammy.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, but you were
But-
talking to him, Rupert,
Yeah,
last
well,
night.
I know, and I was talking to him last night, but he explained what was going on, and we've got a bit of leak. Mark Todd is having a bit of leakage.
Well, he's having quite a lot of leakage at the moment,
But
complete spillage, because the walk is interrupted and showing a great deal of tension and has broken, so that's going to be very, very expensive.
But Pammy and Carl always say that, you know, that it's easy to say it from the sidelines, and I think we're now seeing why Mark possibly had the neck a little bit round, or rounder than ideal, because this horse is actually trying to not do dressage. If he had the, you know, he is excited to be in here, and that became evident in the walk.
It carries his tail very high, and that in a way shows another bit of tension.
But if we're trying to look how well he's riding a dressage test, Mark, and what a good job he's doing and how well he sits, and then when you look back at what he's done at Badminton around the cross-country courses, often on a horse that he's only sat on for a few days.
Late behind change. I'm going to cry. Well,
Why are you going to cry, Pammy?
because I hoped he'd be up there, you know, in those top 3. And this test started off and shows at moments how it should be. But it isn't. So it's got 3 horrible falls for the flying change.
But don't you think that would be a difficult horse to go and sit on right now? I think he's making it look a lot easier than it might be.
I don't think that it's the rider's fault.
No.
It couldn't possibly be.
No, I agree with that. I think we all agree with that. So he's already won about 6 Badmintons, and he's been to the Olympics as a show jumper. So
That's what I think I'm talking about when I talk about horsemen.
yeah,
And he nailed that flying change.
and he rides this well in the dressage.
Well, when he retires, maybe he'll take up Grand Prix dressage.
If you're looking to get an autograph this week, boys and girls, or ladies and gentlemen, maybe go and
Well, the
get one
fan
off this
zone.
man.
We have the fan zone
Yeah.
down by the mix zone.
Good flying change.
If you come to the commentary box, you might get
And that
Pammy's.
was the difficult one. And a very good last flying change.
Oh, we could have seen a challenge, couldn't we?
And we could have seen a challenge if it wasn't for the one flying change and the break in the walk. So, Matt Ryan, you're quite right about leakage. We needed some plasters, just 2. But just 2 will just leave him out of the 30s.
Well,
I suspect his last marks will be all right.
so you're saying maybe low 40s?
Very low 40s, I think, because he's got a lot of 7.5s and 8s at the end. But yeah, but the mistakes, it's hard. You got to again look at the collective marks. But
You
those,
just don't know.
Yeah,
And you're supposed to give the rider mark. It's supposed to reflect what's happened in the test. So 2 judges in there would give him a 7, but I'd have given him a 9. And I think in an Olympic situation, I still think you could give the man a 9, because I defy anybody else to have done a better job with this horse. You can see even coming, hacking out of this arena, walk is not this horse's favourite word.
Well, as he walks the arena...
No, he's not walking.
Well, trotting out of the arena, rather.
Jogging.
Trotting out of the arena. Sorry, I was looking down at my notes. I was not looking what was going on in front of me. Commentator error there. Won this event, of course, 36 years ago in his debut, but here he is trying to win it for a 5th time. And now, though, we can go and join Joe Turness, who I think has got Ben Hobday with her.
Ben Hobday is with me now. First test of the day here, day 2 of the Mitsubishi Motors Badminton horse trials. That was a great reception you got. People so happy to see you competing here. Tell us how that test felt.
Yeah, I was made up with him. You know, we probably seem a bit overexcited for our mark, but you know, it's the horse's personal best at this level. As you can see, he finds dressage quite difficult with those big legs, but you know, he tried his best and. Quite overwhelmed. He
was very much caught up by the atmosphere to begin with, but you managed to settle him down, and as the test progressed you could really see him working for you, trying for you. Yeah,
you know, he can do all the movements, but in order to gain the marks he's got to stay relaxed so he doesn't chuck anything away really. And when he clapped as I came in, I was a little bit worried he might pull a few wheelies, but he kept it under wraps, and you know, I think he knows how important it is to us all.
And you've got a great support team here as well, absolutely cheering to the rafters.
Yeah, I couldn't do anything. I'm just a front man. They do all the hard work, and it's a credit to everyone in the team who puts the hours in to get the result today.
Well, it's lovely to see you here, Ben. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
So well done to Ben Hobday, yes, with an excellent test today. 51.8, best he's done on that horse, and has moved him into 28th, but you can hear just the sense of pride and everything that's gone on in Ben Hobday's life has well culminated in a great start to this week's Mitsubishi Motors Badminton Horse Trial with that horse. Waiting on Mark Todd's score, because I missed it because I was looking down at the note.
44 point something.
44s. Ooh. That's
yeah, you know, that's what we're saying. Mistakes were costly, but Mark did a fantastic job. We were just talking about when you see a horse come out of the arena, some of them come out absolutely relaxed, and you think, well, why didn't the rider let them do that in the arena? Mark's horse came out and he was not relaxed today, and Mark earned every mark he got.
44.8 to confirm his place, which moves him into 9th spot on Leonidas, which is 44.8. He's 10.4 behind our leader Michael Jung, so probably not as close as he would have liked to go in search of a title. Astier Nicolas is the next rider to come in, a former British under-25 champion, although of course it obviously rides for France, but he did win that in 2012, which he won at Bramham. But here he is competing for the 2nd time at Badminton. Back in 2013 he finished 9th.
Yeah, big fan of Astier. He's a very talented rider. He just won his first 4-star at Pau last year on home soil. That was on Piaf de Neuville, who's probably going to be his Olympic horse. This is a lovely mare who he's had for a while as well, and who's very good, but probably his 2nd string. But this is a very talented young Frenchman.
Right, well, he's ridden his medium trot, and everything is going quite smoothly and in a good rhythm. For me, just lacking a little bit of impulsion and uphill, and hello, look at me. And this, I think, is really the difficulty here. How much do you get of the pizzazz and the showing off and whilst maintaining the ease and the harmony? So this is easy and full of harmony, but a little bit lacking in impulsion, tiny bit on the forehand. I'll probably get hit by a Frenchman when I leave here. Just, if we're talking and trying to work out how to get into that top 5 leaderboard, the good news here is the very consistent 7s, and what one would look for the 8s is the horse in a more uphill with the front end off the floor a bit more, and of course that means the back end a little more engaged. It talked about the nose being behind the vertical with Marks, Sam. Well, this one was just on that corner, getting ready for a little kiss of its chest.
Good. I'll tell you what, we've got a more relaxed horse in the ring now, and I think his lowest mark so far has been about a 6.5 or maybe 1.6, but generally he's hitting those 7s.
Which is the 70%.
That we all try and achieve. Some of us rarely.
You sound wistful.
Yeah. The odd time. I have one or two, but not in this arena. Yet.
Oh, that was...
Oh, yeah, that was said with...
real determination. I'm frightened, Sam.
I might be being called, super nerd or stat boy or something this week, but one day I'll be back on my horse and doing my thing.
Yeah, there are the 6s, the 6.5s, and I still think that this is because the horse could be more engaged, under with the hind leg, lower with the tail, and up through the wither.
I have to say, I've been looking at the scoreboard probably more than Pammy has.
Yes.
Yeah, and but the judges started off with 7s and even the odd 7.5, almost sort of saying, and I think this is what I like to see, is that they were going, right, well, we're giving him a chance here. This is okay, assessing it. And then throughout the test, they've probably wanted that outline to come a little bit more, or that, a little bit more neck, nose a little bit further out. And as Pammy says, a little bit more pizzazz. And so the marks are sort of then back to the 7s and the 6.5s.
I think the judging has been good here.
Yeah, they've given everyone a chance.
So far.
Although Mr. Town is the only one who's still been a bit grumpy.
And there I would have to agree.
Yeah.
He has a right to be grumpy.
Yeah.
Marilyn Payne at C, Angela Tucker at H, and Andrew Benny at B. Those are our judges.
Pammy, how many? We've got what, 6 4-stars on a championship every year, and then a few prestigious 3-stars as well. We have 3 grand jury members, 3 judges at each of those. How many top judges do you think we need in the world?
Oh gosh. That was sorry, I wasn't listening to your question. I was watching a rather squiffy flying change, which I think will be reflected down. What do you? How many
top class judges? Do you think you should keep a smaller number of judges that travel around a lot and judge all the big events, or do you think you just share it around a lot?
You have got to have more of them. We're always crying out for more top Grand Prix judges. You need more of them because I think judges are human and they can get used to the way horses and riders work, and I think it gets dangerous when you don't have enough of them. However, I often wonder why there aren't more. Christoph Hess will judge at Europeans and World's Olympic Games and the same top-class Grand Prix competitions, but there aren't enough of the top Grand Prix judges that judge here at Badminton.
Right, okay.
I mean,
that do pure dressage and event.
Well, all dressage is pure, Samuel.
Okay.
But...
you haven't watched mine recently.
But it would be really nice if they made more use of the top Grand Prix judges. And then you'd get a
Astier Nicolas just exiting
more
the
insight.
arena. And wait on his score. And Tina Cook will be next into the arena here on Radio Badminton. Very good morning. You're listening to Pammy Hutton and Sam Watson with their expert views.
What do you think, Sam? Do you think it should be just 6 of them travelling around? Or 8 or 12?
No, I agree. You don't want people getting too familiar, because then you get this idea of almost, someone just comes up the centre line and they've suddenly gone up 2 marks and not much has changed. So yes, I agree with you.
Okay, just going to interrupt there and say let's go back to Joe.
So Mark Todd's just come out of the arena with Leonidas, 44.8, putting you into 9th at this early stage of day 2. What are your thoughts on that?
I was disappointed. I mean, he got in there and he saw himself on the big screen and then just completely lost concentration and just made too many mistakes. He didn't walk properly, and he missed one change, so No, I was pretty disappointed, actually.
So how do you come back when you're having that sort of test? How do you salvage and save and secure the marks you can?
Well, luckily this isn't a dressage competition, so we've still got 2 more days to go. There's the cross country and the show jumping. He's a good jumper, he's good in those phases, so we'll just have to kick on and hope for the best. I mean, he's not a million miles away, except for Michael Young, but we'll see.
Still in touch, though.
Yeah.
Mark, thank you.
Well, definitely a disappointed sounding Mark Todd. As Pammy and Sam were saying in commentary, it wasn't perfect, and you could hear the sense of disappointment all over Mark Todd's, from what he was saying there to Joe. But coming into the arena, the very popular Tina Cook coming in, first competed here back in 1993. She's on her horse Star Witness, and this is a pretty decent horse. He went well last year as well, so having come 8th at Burley.
Beautiful entry in Holt. What do your stats say, Sam?
I'm just opening up my booklet here, Pammy.
Head first in.
Tina, I've got an interesting stat on Tina that she probably won't thank me for saying, but she hasn't won an international since she was European champion in 2009 with Miners Frolic.
Tell me about her dressage marks with this horse.
Right, well, yeah.
I thought she'd get an 8 for her entry.
47.4 they got at Burley last year.
The medium trot got a 6.5. It ran a little, which means that the steps hurried.
Over its last 3 tests, Pammy, it's averaging a 53.9, which is a little high.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a bit better today. With luck, she's got it settled well.
She's a great competitor, Tina. She always peaks at the right time and always produces the goods at a championship. So, Team GBR, you know, like having her in the team. She's what you tried to explain to me once, Pammy, about being an Olympic animal. You know, you
Good
start
Lord, I must have been inspired on some of those
people who can
days.
produce it when it matters on the big occasion.
This is really difficult to judge because the ears are forward, the outline's nice, the horse looks at ease, the tail is quiet, there's no major resistances, but it's not a big, loose-moving horse throughout all its body. It holds itself a little. And I don't think there's much you can do on top in a test situation to just make him feel like really loosening up. So the judge at B that gave that a 5.5 would just like it freer and bigger moving. Neat steps back, good halt, neat steps back. Utterly correct medium walk. Horse's ears prick. The sun is now coming through at Badminton. She's had an unlucky jog in the extended walk.
That is annoying because it's
got a nice extended walk.
Exactly.
Real mean.
Easy to train a walk, Pammy? No, it's difficult.
Well, it's a lot easier to walk at my age now because I get to walk and I have to completely relax and collapse and get my breath. So all my horses walk everywhere. I spend the whole of the walk in every test getting my puff back. That's quite a good lesson to myself.
So
Just entered a Grand Prix.
Have you?
Yeah, I'm fed up with sitting on my butt.
There we go.
Yeah, I thought I'd do a Grand
Mark
Prix
Todd,
and a
watch
Grand
out.
Prix in music. I've got a bit of weight to lose, a bit of fitness to regain.
You trying to get to Japan, then?
No, definitely not. Tension before the flying change, but then a correct flying change. Good canter rhythm. But again, the marks just here, sort of between the 6s, 7s, not a lot higher, and that's just going to be because this horse won't relax all his muscles, let go, and show softness. Shows correctness, good outline. It's difficult.
A very consistent cross-country horse and a very good show jumper, so I'd imagine we're looking at the horse's more difficult phase. On paper we are, and as Pammy would tell you, we probably are. So
She's sitting quite beautifully, and her rhythm is brilliant. Turn 1, 2, 3, change.
yeah, very good.
That's. Yeah, now we're creeping the marks up. I'd have to say you should creep the marks up. So you said about them giving marks at the beginning of the test. This horse has now taken a deep breath. It did move in the flying change on that line M to E, and has done his last flying change late to the aid and then late behind. If anybody's not sure how to watch a flying change when we're talking about late behind, slow behind, don't try and look at the front end, just watch the hind legs. Because your eye will take care of the front end. You watch the hind legs and you'll manage to see the front legs without realising. When you stare at the front legs, you'll miss the hind. I don't know why it works like that, but it just does.
So, job done by Tina Cook. Wait, where's that score going to be? Well, you were saying with the average, is it better than average?
It's going to be in the 40s, which is, but
late 40s.
Exactly. Yeah, that's what I would say. Sort of 47.8.
Okay.
She rode it well.
Well, a man who had 45.8 is Astier Nicolas, and he's with Joe.
Astier Nicolas from France joins me now. 45.8 your score there. Your thoughts?
I'm very satisfied because that's the personal best of the mare. So it's usually a hot mare, and she behaved to her best today.
Already some of the early competitors today finding the atmosphere in that arena quite electric. That an issue you had to deal with?
A little bit, but as I told you, she behaved to her really best. But indeed, when she came in, she looked at everybody, and it's already at 10 in the morning, quite hot here, so I'm relieved she hasn't gone later this afternoon.
Sure. Now, tomorrow, everyone going to be focused on the cross-country. Your thoughts on that?
I think it's tough badminton. Badminton is always a decent track, obviously, but among the badminton editions, I think we're facing quite a difficult one. There's a lot of questions, and also I think a lot of combinations following each other. Not much time for the horses to breathe, even if there are long gallop stretches sometimes, but I think a lot of combinations, especially at the end, are coming quite close together, and will keep the horse thinking, then awake, then there's no time for resting. And with a long time of 12 minutes, it's not going to be like a more spread out course. I think it's going to be a long and intense course.
And influential.
Yeah, I hope so.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
So that is Astier Nicolas after his score talking to Joe. And next in, big moment actually, coming into the arena because Alice Dunsdon is the next rider to come in on Fernhill present, because this is the aim for her to make it, with this horse, completing 6 4-star events. Riders have done it, but not necessarily... no one has done it with the same horse before. And Pippa Room from the Horse and Hound was talking, wanting to know other riders. She thinks Clayton Fredericks has done it, and if whether there are any others, we need to know. So if you're listening out there, give us your thoughts on that. Any other riders who may have completed all 6 4-stars as she comes into the arena. And she was with us yesterday in the commentary box, picking up some tips from you, Pammy and Carl.
Yes, that's because I do train Alex and love training her. My mother trained her aunt when she was third at Badminton.
Oh, and her aunt was?
Annalie Drummond-Hay.
Okay.
So there's great history here. However, I have to say I'm rarely allowed to train this horse. My son had a very brief moment training the horse and landed in the boards. He is a complete one-person horse, and his least favourite subject is dressage. So
Well, he's done a good job to start off, hasn't he?
yeah, we have talked about how to ride this test. In fact, last week she rode it 3 times. It would have been handy if she kept the hind legs moving in the walk pirouette. So she's practiced her test riding. But if you were to do this test more than once in the blue moon with Hilly, he will say, "On your bicycle, mummy."
So those marks in the walk pirouette that we're seeing on the board are because they back legs, as Pammy said, didn't do very much.
Well, they took a little rest.
Had a breather, a bit like Pammy and her walk.
Now, a record in the 4 stars as 43rd at Pau, 48th at Burghley back in 2012, Lemoonen 25th, 2013, 2014 completed Lexington, 32nd, and 16th in Adelaide.
This would be a difficult moment for her. You can see the tension in the walk.
Oh, good hold.
She did get the halt, but just accepting the aids, just being very tactful with him. You wouldn't want to take more contact than that. Now this is where Alice is going to be lying. Hilly, I have finished my test. Completely finished, just walk. There's a good boy.
Oh, I didn't realise she was, her uncle was Josh Gifford, and was, therefore obviously a cousin of Tina Cook.
I learned,
We've seen the...
yeah, I learned something. The whole family is steeped in equestrian history, and I probably learn something every time they come. Didn't Mum win the Queen Elizabeth, or second in the Queen Elizabeth Cup, and the aunt the other. One won it, one was second.
Oh, that you may just be going out of my league on my bio notes.
Well, I'm beating Sam on his
But she is from MFH of the Surrey Union.
She is a master of foxhounds. So nice to see 2 7s on the half circle. Flying changes are not this horse's hot point. So she's going to canter casually along and say, please, Hilly. My goodness, we got it.
Are you
Good
pleased with
girl.
this? Oh, you're sounding pleased.
Pammy was really nervous here, and this is
terrified.
going. But it's interesting, isn't it? When you know that most of the time when a horse comes in, we don't know the background story, we don't know much about it. Pammy in this case does, and you get actually a sense, sitting beside her, you get a sense of the anxiety of what you're trying to manage.
I've never seen you look so...
Well, I have actually seen this horse in my school say, I'm not doing any more dressage today. Thank you, goodbye. And not many people get to say that to me.
and they are, you know, these horses are tuned to the absolute minute to go.
He's a character.
Got to gallop for 12 minutes tomorrow around.
Well, that he'll do a great deal more happily. She is sitting well. Good girl, Alice. He snuck ahead of her. You could see that he just snuck that change in before she wanted it, so that would be short behind.
Early in front, maybe.
Yeah, early in front. It was not when it was wanted. And I think that was straight at us, but I'm pretty sure that wasn't great either.
Where in the 50s is this?
I don't really care. The fact that we've gone down the centre line, carried out a smooth flying change, and got to the end of what is Alice's least favourite subject with this horse is an achievement.
Very good. Give her a hand.
Good girl.
Very happy Pammy, and why not? And obviously first part of the big challenge has been negotiated. Probably, Pammy, better than you would have thought. How would you?
Well,
dispassionate view.
I have seen him do a better test, but it isn't a question of whether he can go better or should do a better test. It really is with this horse taking what he's going to give us. I can assure you of that. You could give him to the best dressage trainer in the world, and he could very easily make them look like an idiot.
Aren't you the best dressage trainer in the world?
No, I'm certainly not, but I've learnt from some of the best, and I can impart some of the things that I have learnt that I remember. And he's just a really interesting horse and a very good leveller, because he is a reminder that you can't just tell every horse that it's going to improve and it's going to do it now.
Well, in the meantime, let's go back to Joe.
Christina Cook with me now, our commentary team, Pammy Hutton there, saying she saw it as a test of 2 halves. Relaxing into the second part.
Okay, I take that as a compliment. He's a horse that finds this phase very difficult. He's not, he's full thoroughbred. Mum bought him from Doncaster Sales as an unbroken 3-year-old. Just thought he was a really nice type that could have any career racing or eventing. And, you know, he loves his jumping and his galloping. This part of it, you know, he has this sort of slightly naughty boy attitude that he doesn't particularly enjoy it. But I was pleased. I was just going for consistency, you know, because if I put too much pressure on him, he can react. So I was pleased with what he did.
49.7.
Obviously, I'd like to have been a little bit lower. I think he got 47 or 48 at Burley, where he did a personal best at Burley. But we're in, a classy field here, so anything below 50 for this horse, I'm very pleased. And he kept his rideability in there. He wasn't fazed by the crowds. So, in general, obviously, you'd like to be nearer the leaders, but I was never coming into this competition expecting to be anywhere near them. I'd love it to rain now, slow those smart dressage horses up so that I can catch them up. But I'm pleased with the start.
And very quickly, cross-country course tomorrow, your thoughts on that?
Yes, it's Badminton. It's huge, massive, some very, very big wide oxes in places. You could have a silly in a number of places. It's back to being bold and attacking. Good to see the Vicarage V back in. Terrifies us riders every time we look at it. But it'll be a very, very quick ground, and you'll see some really, really smart performances.
Christina, thank you.
Thank you.
So there we go. That's Tina Cook after her test, and she scored in the 40s, 49.7. In the 50s was Alice Dunsdon with 55.5, roundabout average for that horse. And so happy days. Pammy's happy. In though to the arena now comes representing China, Alex Hua Tian on his horse Harbour Pilot. He's based in Cheshire, and he has. Well, he's been plying his trade for some time now. He's off and running with his dressage test. Pammy's looking more relaxed now that she's got Alice out the way.
Well, yes, and I have to say, going round the arena, this sort of horse and rider, I sort of thought, ooh, is this going to nudge the leaders? Did a beautiful entry, a perfect halt, and then leakage on the move off. It blew a bit and cantered, and then took a moment to settle in an extended trot. And this horse is really a little bit uptight, Sam, wouldn't you say?
Yeah.
Again, the canter there instead of the trot steps. It's as if he's wound up to sort of show all the impulsion, but then just not settled in the rhythm. In the extended trot, you would say very irregular.
He's nicely uphill, but there's tightness in it. It's not a soft self carriage uphill. It's a tighter.
So where I said earlier with Tina, could we have more impulsion? We had the softness and the accuracy, and here's a rider asking for more impulsion and more of the wow factor and paying the penalties because we're not doing clean test. So I have to. Some of you new in today. I said yesterday on several occasions, the armchair expert can be very dangerous. We can only advise what we think you could do in this situation or what we perceive it to be like. Sitting on those horses could be completely different. But I completely missed the halt and the rein back. Harry Meade is upsetting the commentary
Morning,
box.
Harry.
Hello, Pamela. Hello.
Yeah.
Hello. You weren't here for Ben
that's
Way's
very
test
formal.
yesterday.
I wasn't.
With me.
I'm sure you were banging on about his mother again, like normal.
I tried to avoid
He
that.
was. He did. He didn't stop.
Morning, Harry. Nice to see you again.
Nice to see you as well.
So we are watching quite a lot of tension coming forward to the canter. This is too uphill. Sam, you can end up a dressage judge yet.
What have you made it so far, Harry? Of the competition.
I saw Michael Young's test yesterday, which was just a sublime example of consistency through a test, wasn't it? He's a long way in the lead, but it'll be interesting to see if some of the later combinations today can shorten that gap or even overtake him.
There's one or two actually.
Nice
There are one or
flying
two.
change. Well, listening to Radio Badminton on the way in, you thought between 5 and 8 could get close.
Yeah, you try.
About 5 maybe within a show jump.
That would be nice. Not for Michael, but it would be for everybody else.
Some improvement now in the relaxation, but the horse still a little bit too hollow and just not soft enough over the top line. Now, Sam, when you came to us at Talent, you didn't manage to get the show jumps in the indoor school. The man on your right managed to plough up that indoor school with at least 10 show jumps.
You another pupil.
I've had sessions with Pamela before. I had a winter where she said there's no way you'll be able to make it in the snow, and I said I'm actually parked outside about 20 metres from you, and then spend the next 3 months there.
Snowed in, couldn't leave. The
You're both still smiling in her.
She said there's no way even a Land Rover would make it, and I said I'm sitting in my horse box outside your door. I think she was trying to put me off.
Pammy, you used to have white railings that you put up to sort of separate bits of the school. Sometimes she's got this massive indoor school, and well, I didn't get show jumps in there. Daisy Barkley, who's going to be joining us later, she was in having a lesson as well. I said, oh, that's quite a nice horse. Does it jump? So I was still in my dressage saddle and being a good Irish fella trying to sell a horse at every opportunity. I just went and jumped these white railings sort of backwards and forwards and all over the place. She didn't buy the horse.
Well, this test has improved, which just, I think I could slightly wonder whether, as good as rider as this Frenchman is, whether he just came in hoping to be able to ask for a bit more than the horse was in a state to give him.
Well, Alex is from
could
China,
be wrong.
But we'll
China,
yeah.
Sorry.
He's very English,
Well, there you
so
go.
he speaks as well
They're
as
very
Harry.
close as well, France and China.
Well, he'll pick this up, but you know, my question would just be whether if he just brought it in that little bit softer and then asked a little more as the test went on. But I might be quite wrong.
No, I think we two early tests we saw were Mark and Tina, and the comment was, oh, could we get these a little bit more uphill with a little bit more impulsion? But we could see that they were both actually, it was a tactical decision to try and do that word that's becoming very fashionable right now, which is watertight. They were trying not to make mistakes. Alex went for a bit more, and unfortunately there were just far too many mistakes in the first half of the test.
Look at the marks now, 8, 7.5.
He did a 49 at the World Games, and he's probably trying to beat that considerably. And obviously the marks we're seeing now suggest that he could have, but it's going to be interesting to see.
It is stunning. Was it with the same judges?
No, that's what's difficult, isn't it?
It's got to be difficult.
Yeah.
Because you can get one panel of judges,
yeah.
and they're going to be harsher,
yeah.
and you can then get the judges that are in a really good mood.
100%.
This lot are very level.
51.8 he's managed to score. So next, Rebecca wants to know why Carl's not here.
He's coming.
He's training a princess, an actual princess.
Yes.
Not like a lot of the princesses we see in eventing, who are just make-believe. Is that dangerous? Oh, I'm going to be even less popular now. Damn.
That's brave, isn't
there
it?
There go my female fans.
He will be joining us.
Yeah, because Zara Tindall...
here he comes. Well, here comes his rider.
Yeah, well, Zara's coming into the arena on High Kingdom. This horse has had some injury problems, and she's had to nurse the horse back. It's had a difficult injury to manage. Sort of, it was not straightforward.
Yes, the horse cut into the joint capsule, and that kind of thing. You've got to give time. You've got to stop just to get over the danger period where there's a chance of getting an infection. But in a way, it's much better to have a trauma injury like that rather than a strain, a tendon or ligament strain, which can put a horse out much longer, and there's a high chance of it happening again. So I think she's out of the woods, and hopefully she'll be able to be here and firing on all cylinders.
And she wants to be on that plane to Rio. She's fired up, isn't she?
Yes, she is. She's Zara's an amazing competitor. She'll be the first to say she doesn't necessarily have the most outstanding sort of set of results on a sort of day-to-day basis, but then she's very good at pulling out a big and often surprising performance when it matters. So she did it before London, when she suddenly was propelled into the team after a great performance at Bramham at the last minute. And she's looking to do the same thing for Rio now with a good badminton performance.
And what sort of scores, Sam, does this horse often get, so that we can see whether Carl has done his job?
Its average is a mid-40, but it did manage at Le Moulin to sneak a 39.7. So I don't... Pippa Room said this morning that this might go into the 30s. I would love to see it go into the 30s, but I would lay a bet that it might just stay in the 40s.
Okay, I don't... So it would be a 5,000 to 1 chance. No, maybe not.
I know. I just give her even money. I'm not a stingy bookmaker.
Right.
I think I might have to take out a gambling license so we can start betting at badminton again. I'll be really poor then.
So, a good start to the test, an impressive medium trot.
I'm starting to worry.
Tiny little bit. Oh, I was sure you were wrong from the very first moment. The judge at sea has picked up the one thought that I've had if I was a betting girl, and that is that there was just a little bit of tension in that medium trot. The other two judges gave it a 7. She's walked quite early. I'm pretty sure you walk a few steps before the walk pirouette.
Well, I think you can walk between M and C.
No, can you? Well, it's a very good walk pirouette, so that's good news.
I was doing some calculations, Pammy. If you take into account that you enter in canter, and then you've got that walk pirouette in the middle of it, I reckon there's only 7 movements out of 30 that are just trot work. And
well, I'd like this test because I get worn out in trot.
Yeah,
That'd be real handy.
You are a super
Sam doesn't have enough to do at night.
No, it doesn't.
I don't have my wife with me this week.
Sam.
So yeah, all I can do is
dong.
study. She'll be relieved that all I'm doing is looking at
The
bits of
steps
paper.
in that half pass were good. Maybe just a little bit more bending around the left leg, with the horse looking in the direction. But this is so far quite active. You can again see that the judge at sea, I think, is looking for a little more of the overall softness, perhaps, over the top line. 2, 3, 4, 5 steps back. Perfectly
I
written.
tell you what,
That was well written.
Yeah, and we haven't seen many people that have actually done 5 correct steps of rainbow, which is, again, back to that watertight thing. Yeah, that's a bit surprising. They're not
And
counting their
those
elephants,
are
Pammy.
very, very good walk steps now in the extended walk, with a hand encouraging the outline to stretch. Now, I haven't watched this horse in canter. She's really going to need 7s and 8s from here on in to the rest of the test.
No, if there was an exchange, you know what a betting exchange is, Pammy? You can bet in running. I think now the 30s.
I'm quite surprised that walk
The 30s
gets
on.
that better.
Pammy's getting annoyed. She's on her feet.
Yeah,
She's going to start
looking at
throwing stuff
well,
out the window.
I've got a hut now in the way, but don't let Hugh know.
Are you impressed, Harry, with this so far?
I think it's been very consistent. You know, he's not the biggest. He's a thoroughbred horse. He's not the biggest mover, but she's not wasting any marks. She's riding a well disciplined test.
Those could be difficult. You got that
for the
one.
flying change.
Well, it was what we call a
clean.
hot to trot flying change.
It was clean and correct. But
And
it was
it's
just
a
bit
difficult
spicy.
left canter if we're being really nitpicky. It's difficult just to maintain that clear 3-time beat. So the 6 and 6.5 for the flying changes because of the tension.
Now this canter, this left canter, which
It's not great.
is not. Would you say that's because the sort of that's the right hind leg's fault?
I've no idea which
The
hind
outside
leg it is.
hind leg.
Well, if I was a gambling person, I would say it's tension in the back.
Okay.
Tension can drop the sequencing canter.
You can see he's just short in the back. He's raised the neck, and the canter's 4-time. It's almost time.
Harry, we've been very good over these 2 days. We've managed to stay away from
He comes in and that was so rude.
just pointing out this is a 4-time canter.
In
And
he
you pointed
waltzes.
out with this competitor in the arena. With
She's
the
royal. You're going to
bravest-
go to the tower.
Yeah, exactly. The bravest
Sorry, he knows her
Carl
quite
and
well.
I
He's
have
all right. I
got
think he can get away
is
with
that
it.
the sequence could be better.
Well, I'm relying on the fact that she hasn't got a radio so they can plug it through in. She can't hear what we're saying.
No, but her
I think
entourage will.
Granny might have a radio back home.
She's street listening online.
Yeah, they're live streaming in the palace.
So, again, tension just running through the whole of this test. Carl, don't worry, ladies and gentlemen, Carl will be back. Actually, Zara
super.
looked quite annoyed with him just there and just anchored him to that last point
Yeah.
quite firmly.
Should be. In a serious note, it's a big week because she's really only got one crack at qualifying for the Olympics. So the main criteria for that is to go clear tomorrow. She needs this MER business, which is she's got to go clear cross country.
Yeah, but then we were talking yesterday about those horses that aren't here. And surely for that 3-star and at Olympic Games, that dressage plays a more important role than perhaps some eventers would like. Harry, am I wrong?
Yeah, there's the Olympics is very much a specialist competition, but that said, there aren't that many horses that are in contention at the moment. There's obviously Pippa Funnel and Sandman were one of the main ones. Pippa had that nasty fall last weekend at Withington. Sandman, hopefully is all right. Pippa's hopefully all right, but there's still some doubt. William hasn't come back and done a CCI yet. Hopefully he'll have a good run with Chilly Morning around some CICs. So there's plenty to play for, and there aren't that. There are basically almost no dead certs this year.
Yeah.
So Zara's got
Kitty
everything to play
King might
for.
be the nearest thing to a
Yeah,
dead cert.
Kitty had that great performance at Blair at the Europeans last year, and hopefully she's just close.
I'll tell you, Alice. Hello.
Alice, did I say the right things? That's all I want to know.
I think so. Everyone's very complimentary about what Pammy said about me. So
Well, we thought you did a good job.
Say hello and thank you. I was practicing my left hand, Pammy. For people that don't know, my left hand always turns over. So I was thinking, Pammy. Tossing around with my left hand.
All I can say is Pammy was in a high state of tension.
She must really care about you, Alice. She was very.
Nice. Yeah, no, he was really good. I was pleased. Let's hope Pammy's pleased.
I was, very. And my goodness, you were sitting a great deal better. I was just reassuring everybody that this was not an easy horse.
Yeah, and I will sit up eventually after cantering around the outside.
Well, the worst bit's over now.
Yeah,
now you can get on to the bit that the horse likes.
Yeah, exactly. Okay.
Alice, lovely to see you. Thank you very much. So there we go, Alice. Well, there you go. She wanted praise from you.
Well, no, it wasn't. You know what? That was a very nice people coming back to find the trainer and just say thank you and check in. And not everybody does.
And isn't it nice to see how much the trainer cares about their pupil?
Yeah, and if she'd done a bad test, she would have come and found the trainer and blamed the trainer.
Is that what you do, Harry?
No, no, to be fair, Harry is very self-critical.
Because Alice just came in, I missed Zara's score. Did anyone see it?
49-ish, was it?
I think 48.
Oh, 48.
Oh. So, well, that's a bit disappointing, isn't it?
It will be.
Is she going to blame Carl?
No,
well, I think it's the horse's first time back again in this sort of an atmosphere after a while, and it will improve from that.
And it's a respectable score. She's got.
It could improve a great deal.
Yeah. And there's everything to play for. You've got almost 12 minutes of galloping tomorrow, and that horse gallops. So we'll see what happens.
Okay, next into the arena is Camille Lejeune from France riding Uec. Ardou Templinière
riding Uec.
Fluent as anything.
Can we just call it Uec, because I don't want to say that name.
Well, Uec is doing some good trot work.
11-year-old mare this, so again, we said yesterday.
She's lovely.
She is lovely, isn't she?
Yeah, she's really nice.
She's young for this level. We've only got one 10-year-old here this year.
Is she only 10?
No, she's 11. She's 11, but she's one of the younger crop.
Well, I think she's really nice. She's listening to every word he's saying.
First time here.
There's usually a prize for the best placed mare, isn't there? Because Burr Penny's won that one year, and I think it's something to do with embryo transfers, which I don't know much about. But
just didn't quite ride out to the marker. Slightly cautious extended trot.
French riders sit well, don't they?
They probably ride without their stirrups more than the lazy British.
Irish.
Oh God, well, as I say, we do, but it's spontaneous and it's usually on a 3-year-old.
Do you ride without stirrups?
I ride one horse every day without stirrups.
Well done, Harry.
God,
why do you do that?
that's what I'm going to do when I get
That's
home.
what Carl Hester does.
Because it's great for your seat, and it's
it's bad for your eyes.
I love it.
I've never sat on a horse, so you're talking to complete
No,
ignorance.
it's great. It's great for your seat. It basically strengthens your core, gets you sitting really deeply around the horse, and then when you ride with stirrups, it's incredibly easy.
I tell a lie, I sat on a pony in Luckington, and I fell on the ground, aged 8, and my mother told me to stop lying on the ground like a footballer, and I said, well, I'm hurt, and if you think I'm getting back on that pony, you're very much mistaken, and that was the end of my riding career.
And actually, if you want to practice riding without stirrups, you can come to Ballindennisc in Ireland, where there's a donkey derby in the evenings, and we ride donkeys around the place without stirrups. But your feet will probably run off the ground.
Back to the test?
Yeah, back to the test with the mare sort of too downhill, kissing her toes a little bit, and short steps in the walk. That won't be the rider I think the mare was born with. out a stonking good walk. Coming forward now to the canter.
I'm going to make
And that's a bit better.
prediction, because this mare's good scores at 1 and 2 star level, but then the higher scores up at 3 and 4 star levels, which means it might struggle with flying changes and things like that that start to creep in.
Don't start me off. Sam, do not start me off.
Let's see.
You were wrong. Luckily, so far.
There's 3 more to
See,
come.
what's wrong with teaching all your horses flying changes when they're 4 and 5-year-olds?
Oh, I agree. And well, some
I
find it
just
incredibly
don't get
natural.
it.
Some, if it's, you know, a horse with a good canter, I don't think there's going to be any problem with just, teaching them when
And
they're
I'm
that
talking
age.
to 2 good eventers. Don't you want them
Well,
to
we
do
do.
a flying change when you turn a corner quickly?
My 5-year-olds
one
do
fence to
lovely
the other.
flying changes. I would prefer to teach them flying changes when they're 5, and then when they're 6 and 7, we've got quite a lot of canter, but at least you've got the flying changes done, and then you don't have to be doing so much of it. And because they're useful in your show jumping rounds, and it's just useful to have it done. So I would try and do it when they're 5.
What do you do,
I
Harry?
do exactly the same. Your 4 and 5-year-olds, even if it's just in the field, out of the saddle, cantering across a sort of imaginary diagonal, and just change from one leg to another, and they just get the sequence, get the coordination, and then, as Sam says, you then can concentrate on the counter when they get a little bit older, and then the changes are there for when they have to start putting them in for the test.
Okay, this horse has now, mare has now done a late behind flying change and had quite an argument over the next one. It was as if the curved bit just caught her, and done a very efficient last flying change. So,
again,
Sam, we could agree that they're green.
Yeah, she was quite tactful there. Popped it in early. Felt that they could get a flying change a bit before the centre line, so took it.
I suspect that we could see greatly improved dressage here.
Yeah, we like the horse. I think that everyone likes the mare.
Well, we're just going to interrupt there. Let's go back to Joe.
Zara, just coming out there with High Kingdom, 48, but obviously missing all of last year. So how do you feel about that?
Yeah, good. He's a little bit jolly, but he's better to be that way than he gets quite tired and annoyed. So, he hasn't been in an arena for a year, proper arena. So I was pleased with him. Yeah, some of his work was really good, and he does normally have really good changes, but he was a little bit too excited, but. Yeah, it was good.
And you stole part of our commentary team before your test. Obviously, Carl was giving you some last-minute words of advice. What were his thoughts when you came out?
Yeah, good. Just bits we've got to work on, but the stuff that he does good at home. He was a little bit fresher than he normally probably is in there, so you kind of just got to deal with what you get and make sure that everything's accurate. There's plenty to work on, and now we can go and do the fun bit.
Well, we look forward to watching that. Thanks very much.
Thanks.
Zara Tindall talking there to Joe, and sort of plenty to work on. That's basically what you said first time back. There was always going to be, there needs to be, well, always likely to be room for improvement, wasn't there?
Yeah.
So, and that's what we saw there.
And Carl Hester's fans will be very pleased to see that he's in a slow,
Oh, he's very nattily dressed
nonchalant
today.
walk.
Isn't he? Look, he's
Approaching the
got shades on and
commentary
his
tent.
little white trousers.
He's been taking there's been a photograph of him on Twitter of him taking bandages off of High Kingdom. He's been getting down and
Oh,
dirty.
he's been getting.
He knows.
He knows his stuff.
Perfect.
So, one more
So
rider.
there'll be huge relief now as this voice booms up. We haven't yet put a microphone on him.
Oh, he's not made it up the stairs yet.
53.7 for Camille Lejeune, that was her score. Zara's score, we're just confirming, it was 48 dead was her score, so she's currently in 19th. Carl walking in. Very good morning to Carl. As I say, a man in white.
A man that's quite bossy, already gesticulating for his coffee.
And I think he's amazed that Sam's almost as if he's going off to the city in his suit trousers. He's obviously got an important engagement later. Morning, Carl.
Good morning.
Have you had a good morning taking bandages off?
I did, yeah, I quite enjoyed the groom side of things.
Someone tweeted that photograph of you getting up close and personal to High Kingdom.
Yeah, I was whispering in his ear, any chance you could get a 30-something?
Fortunately, 48 points.
Fortunately, he didn't listen. No, it was, you know, sometimes you try something. He hasn't been in an arena for a long time, and I think we thought he would be better quite fresh, and of course he was a little over fresh. So there is a fine line and a little bit of balancing to find, but we were quite pleased with that. He does look better when he's fresh, but unfortunately then, of course, it makes things like the changes and his canter gets a little bit tight.
There you are. Harry Meade came up and was far ruder. I said he'd be off to the tower. And I said that you would say just a little tight.
Well, maybe Harry can get away with it. You know, I think he's quite well connected. So
What did Harry say?
4-time.
Yeah, well, the left one is.
Well, we're now watching Kari Valley going through her test here. How's she's shaping up in this? Was 36 at Birmingham twice, and how's she getting on?
Well, she's had an unfortunate start. Her medium trot getting a 4 because the horse cantered in the middle. I think, you know, what you see out the back is very different than what you see in the arena, as we will all know, because as we said yesterday, we can all win gold medals at home, and then you get in the ring and your horse gives you a different ride to how you feel out the back or how you feel at home, and suddenly you've got something that you're not used to. And I would just say perhaps there for Kari, it's almost like she's gone a little bit light herself and a little bit weak, and he's taking full advantage of that. He's a little bit tense, and I think she's rather hoping he doesn't know she's there.
And was he behaving outside?
Yes,
Did
he
you
was.
spot? He
Yeah,
was.
he
You
was.
see,
Yeah.
it's so often different, isn't it?
I mean, I didn't really see him do the movements, but he looked very relaxed. But as we can see, he's come above the bit. So, in other words, she doesn't have that softness in her hand. You can see there he's quite mouthy, even from a distance. We can see he's relaxed on the bit.
Well, your fans missed you. We've been tweeted and texted. Where were you?
Kimberly Barclay is very pleased. Thinks you're comedy gold.
Who, me? Sorry,
yes.
I've just been for a little.
Well, she
break.
says keeps making me laugh out loud in her open plan office. There you go, Sam. So
That's embarrassing for her, though, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, she thinks you're Michael McIntyre. She thinks you're a top comedian.
Good that someone does.
Yes, we have a left hind left out there. Important, you know, the 3 judges, or at least
The
2 of
horse
these
heard
judges
you.
are on
It
the
then
side.
went and did 3 steps back. Oh dear, she's having a really difficult ride.
This horse has never scored anything other than in the 60s at 3 or 4 star level.
Yeah, well,
Yeah,
I'm
you got that in
afraid
my stats.
we are looking
Horse
at a
and Hound
test
came
that
up with
is.
that.
Yeah, well, that's what we've got.
We're going to have that.
But it's about managing expectations a little bit, and yeah, this is obviously she's having a difficult time, but this is obviously the horse's weak phase. Carl, I was complimenting you because Zara was one of the few people who actually did 5 perfect steps of rainback.
Well, the thing is, without being rude, when you have a horse that moves like that, you have to get all the little details right. So I said to her, your points are in square halts, perfect rainbacks, you know, no mistakes. So from that point of view, we were very happy with it. You know, she did nail those sort of things to make up for the fact that he's not perhaps as big a mover as some of the good ones really are. However, we all know he's a top horse in his jumping, and she's got that to look forward
And he
to.
can do a better test than we saw today at Badminton.
Yep. Let's see how easy.
His medium trot was good as well. His first one.
For him, it was, yeah. For him, it was. Now you can see this horse is so tense with Kari's legs that when she tries to put her legs on like there, it's almost like he didn't think it was a flying change aid. He thought she said, go faster. So he suddenly, I think she probably had hardly any leg on him, then put her leg on to say change, and he misunderstood it. And we can see.
I have to say this would not be an easy horse to improve on the flat. This is not one you'd sort of ring up and say, book in next week, I can cure this.
Well, I think probably this sort of horse just needs atmospheres, so he might have to, which we know is difficult to find, you know, because I think she's probably getting a different ride than she may be used to in the competition environment.
Well, while we're watching this, Carl, there was a question Sam brought up. Do you think a small number of 4-star, 3-star judges is a good idea, or do you think that there should be more in numbers? And my answer, just to throw into the mix, was that why don't they use more of the Grand Prix judges judging these tests?
Mm-hmm. I think so. And although having said that, we do know that I know the two English judges here actually do.
Ooh.
He's a handful, isn't he?
Yes. Very naughty.
I hope she's able to smile, because by now I would be reaching for the Kleenex.
And he did nearly pull her arms out of her sockets.
I think he's eyeing up the cross-country fence at one point.
Oh, but look at that. He's suddenly the noise.
Well, Kari Valley, I can breathe a huge sigh of relief. That bit's over and done with at her first badminton. Let's head back to Joe.
So Camille Lejeune with me now for France. Your initial thoughts on that test?
I had a good beginning. I lost a lot of points on the second part of the counter. It was probably my mistake because I was not very taking care about the quality of the counter, the activities, and I had 3 bad flight changing, and it was not good for this test.
But your first badminton, so your thoughts on cross-country tomorrow?
It's strong enough. Everything is strong, big. We have the place between fences, but when we jump the 2 oxers, I think it's the number 9, and from the number 9 to the lake, it's very, 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 very strong. All the jumps very close from each other, and it's hard.
Well, we wish you a safe round. Thank you.
Thank you.
That is Camille Lejeune after his ride. Kari Valley just coming out of the arena. One more rider to come in before we have a coffee break, and that rider is now 50. It was 68.6 for Kari Valley, and that means sadly she is in last spot. It was always going to be a tester for her, and it proved to be the case. But Laura Collett in Grand Maneuver, they'll be looking for something much better than that coming into the arena. This striking chestnut, experienced horse, talented rider, should be well, it'll be interesting to see how she gets on, and obviously decent things will be expected of her.
Yeah, Laura and this horse, they've been in the 30s on their most recent run, which was Belton. That was a 36. They did a 37 at Blair. So this is definitely one of the combinations I've been looking for to go and give Mr. Young a run for his money. She waited quite a long time before she came into the arena, and then she came in a nice soft rising trot, so he maybe is one that might feel the atmosphere a little bit, and she's been tactful there.
Why do you think she waited?
Because of the clapping.
Oh,
from
well
the previous
done.
one.
Just checking you're still awake.
Beautiful, soft transition. You can see those horses that carry their weight more on their hind legs because they're able to do very light transitions down to a halt. Those horses that are on the forehand will land quite hard and heavy against the bit.
This is nice. We've had uphill and tense and hollow, and we've had on the forehand, and this is absolutely in the right, well-balanced outline, wouldn't you say, for this horse?
Beautiful.
Really good.
And sweating in the right places. So you can see there, he's
Horse or
sweating
rider?
in the hind legs, the horse. Hopefully the rider shouldn't be sweating.
Pammy admitted that she gets out of breath in the trot work. and
Pammy
takes
does
it.
get very rosy when she rides.
Yeah, wondered how I managed the walk with my horses. I said I used it as a complete break.
Yeah, that was a very neat and tidy pirouette.
This
One
is
of the
so far
smallest
good.
ones we've seen.
This could be watertight.
I
Oh, no,
know.
we're very early.
You spoke too soon.
Commentator's curse.
Oh, she's going to kill me. She is going to kill me. This is a shame.
Whoa. That's it. She needs to rescue the last bit.
That
That's
is
a shame.
such a
Yeah,
shame.
look at that for a pirouette mark, an 8 and a 4.
No, somebody's
stick in
going to
a
be
pirouette?
ahead. One of the, but that can't be correct.
Well, it's interesting. Did she break? Did she have a jog
I wasn't
before
sure if it
then?
actually did a sticky step in there in the first step, whether it stuck one hind leg. Somebody obviously else thought it did, and somebody else thought it didn't.
See his.
But that's
So what he
3
has-
movements that are now in difficulty with the marks from 4 and 5.
What he
returning
has
to the
that
eights
makes
in
a
the shoulder in.
difference, though, from plenty of the other horses we've seen, is he has that moment of suspension, and that makes it look very beautiful when he's moving in trot, to have that time and forward to the hole, running backwards.
And not in diagonal pairs. Walk's not easy, Carl. Collected walk, so let's hope for a little more freedom in extended walk. We're watching the diagonal pairs, or at least I was. Carl's probably nodded off.
Carl's trying to remember what we said yesterday about the walks, how the neck...
You're trying to find a tactful way.
A different way of describing it. Again, the neck has to nod out in the extended walk, and this horse nods over the bridle and over bent in the walk. So therefore, because he doesn't make his neck as long as he possibly could, his steps don't come underneath his body as far, because there's a little bit of a break on. A nice...
Very nice presented right canter half pass. Good bend with the quarters trailing fractionally.
I don't think so. I think she really got a very good angle. A horse should, with a canter like this, have a very nice flying change.
And why did it have to do that?
Work her way to the step. Yep.
Sort of had a fly on its nose, didn't it, at the S marker? Again, nice canter.
Yeah, a
little bit tilting.
To the right.
Yes.
More supple to the right than the left. He's probably half a mark better on the right rein than he is on the left rein. And the reason you can tell that is because the canter isn't as soft in his hind leg, and he gets a little bit noddy in his head. And when the horse nods its head in canter, that's a lack of engagement.
They scored 46.2 here last year. Are they on course, in your opinion, for a better...
Well, they are. It was actually on course, as we could see from the beginning, for a 30-something. It'll probably gonna, if she can...
Oh, dear.
That is a real shame. So, if Matt Ryan's watching, this is not watertight.
Yep. Clever riding by her, because she knew she was going to lose the Serpentine, but she had to get the change back, which she rescued very well.
At this point as a rider, when you come to Badminton, good ground would have suited this horse for the next two phases, and
walked before the flying change.
We can see it could have pulled off.
I think she's fallen apart a little bit personally. I think she's stopped riding a little bit because he's been throwing different things
I
at
think
her,
she's
so
not had the test she hoped for.
Going,
And it is a real pity, because actually this horse looked at moments as if it could have given the leader a run for its money.
Is the best mover, isn't it?
It is the best mover that we've seen. And could have been in the lead after the dressage had it done a completely accurate, correct test.
So, sense of disappointment in perhaps for Laura Collin, but hopefully the score will still give her some grounds for optimism over the next 2 days. But now exiting the arena, as many of the public are doing, she's getting a warm hand as she does. We have the coffee break now, and so that means Tammy and Carl and Sam can have a little break, but in the meantime, let's go back to Joe.
So, Kari, a quick summary of how that was for you.
It felt like I was going around the cross-country course, so I got bolted down the centre line with and didn't think I was going to stop. And then we did a few extra canter transitions where we weren't meant to do them. The trot work got a bit calmer, and then canter got a bit leery again. But we survived. We didn't leave the arena.
It does seem that there's a lot more atmosphere in that arena today than there was yesterday.
And you can really hear the camera clickings, and he's really sensitive to noise, so I think that's what he could hear. And the A is actually really close to the grandstand where people are actually sitting, and there were still people coming into their seats. And sadly, once his switch is flicked, you're in trouble. So, hey-ho, we've done it.
First time at Badminton, though, and you've got the first phase out the way, so what are you looking forward to tomorrow?
Just having a good ride. He's a real cross-country machine. He's careful and he looks after me, so we're here for tomorrow, not for today.
Kari, thanks very much.
Whether you're buying, selling, renting or letting, talk to Savills, the global property advisor with over 130 offices throughout the UK and over 700 offices and associates worldwide, from residential to rural.
Sam Watson. But before I do anything, I've just got to make sure that everybody knows that at 1:20, the big thing is happening today at stand 178. If you want to get up close and personal, and do buy the book, because I think he's in need of the money, it's Carl Hester on the Equestrian Book Fair in Swangrove Street at 1:20. If you want to get a book, what book is it you're flogging?
Oh, probably the Vallegro book they've got on stand, I think.
Okay.
It's about Vallegro's life, his history. The interesting thing about that book is not what I say, it's what everyone else says. That's the lovely thing about that book, because everyone knows what I say about Vallegro. It's a beautiful book that other people have written, really.
And you'll be signing copies of that at 1:20 Swangrove Street, the Equestrian Book Fair, and Carl will be in residence. How long are you doing?
Well,
it depends how many people are there. It could be
so we may
not be,
you may not be back at 2 o'clock.
10 minutes.
So he's
I will be back at 2 o'clock because I'm always in trouble if I'm not here at 2 o'clock.
So you're cutting your lunch break short, so you'll be eating a little less with Rio in mind?
As you know, yesterday she saw me yesterday. She said, "Don't you have potatoes?" I said, "No, I don't have potatoes." And then where she piled on about 5 great big, Pammy piled on 5 huge potatoes onto our plate. Well, I'm not going to Rio, was her excuse.
You are.
Lucky you.
Biggest liar.
Now, last year, Bill Levett, I can't remember the name of his horse last year, but that was my pick of the competition last year. He rode a very good test. It wasn't this horse. It was a very big moving horse he had here last year.
Okay.
Well, it would be...
Bear with me, caller.
Shenandoah Titan is who had last year.
That's right.
45.8 it only scored.
It did only score that, but it was an amazing moving horse.
It's a big moving horse.
But we did discuss in the break that Michael Young's score in the lead is beatable.
Yeah.
Should be beatable.
And
probably nobody will.
Over the last 10 years, we've seen a lot better. And as I said, this afternoon we're gonna put out. At the moment he's got the sort of 10th best score. But there's some great ones, and dating back to the year sort of 2000 and 2001. We've had some great
this
scores.
horse is owned by someone, Ali Butler, who I know well, and Liz Murdoch.
Starting off well. He's by Master Im, so Carl, not quite similarly bred to High Kingdom, who you work with.
Yeah. He is a good mover, this horse. I mean, the interesting thing was anybody. And Bill just proved that, and I don't mean it in the wrong way, but anybody, if you can canter up the centre line straight and hold square and trot off, you can be on a Shetland pony, you can be on a Master Imp horse, you can be on a Grand Prix dressage horse, but you should get a good mark. It is your job to present the test well at the beginning, and he did make a good start. He's riding a big-ish pirouette to keep the hind legs going, which was good riding from him.
Oh, well, I'm just looking up very obediently, because luckily I have remembered. I had dinner with the owner.
He's gone clear across country every time, which is good. His average dressage was 47, but he's going to beat that by a long way, isn't he? Hopefully.
So far, he is ahead of that mark today.
But we
I don't know what
mustn't
his
put the
canter or
voodoos
walks
on,
like.
must
Yeah,
we?
exactly. We keep saying that, so we'll
just
shut up
shut
about
up.
what he could get. But he is a very relaxed-looking horse, using his body correctly. Not a perfect halt. You can see the right hind is actually quite far back.
3, 4. Ooh, so
Stop booing.
Master Im's
Sam,
done
you'll
the
be
best
making the
rein
owners
laps.
so nervous.
Well, it was going well. He just did 5.5.
Ooh doesn't work on radio, Sam.
Doesn't it?
No, because you say ooh and then think, what's
What's it?
Can I give a plug to Mary Hodgson, who's given us some cake, and she's asked us a good question as well. We were talking about the.
Well, you got some cake in the interval.
Yes.
Yeah, well, we've all got some cake, Rupert. It's here in front of me.
Oh, it's lovely.
But I'm saying ooh now. In a minute, I'm just going to go.
All right.
Which also won't work on radio, so I'll try not to do that.
I'm just going to say something about Bill's walk there with the cake. Well, the cake advert's going on, but this was a rider you could see there that made the most of a horse that doesn't have a huge walk. So he really was one of the few riders we've seen that actually really pushed the head and neck out. So the horse appeared to be an extended walk, although the overtrack's not big enough for a high mark. but he's so balanced. And if you look at Bill's hand position, it's carried really nicely in front of the saddle. So it looks like he's riding with what we call a forward hand, which is desirable. 1, 2, and that was a late change. Canter was a little bit too slack, to be fair, so it was almost too much relaxation there. And you saw Bill's timing was absolutely spot on, but the aid was mistaken by the horse for pushing forward rather than some compression to make him do the fly change. But in fact, it was so late, it was quite beautifully late, actually. Wasn't it? It was sweetly late. You didn't make a fuss about it, and he got a 7 there for the judge at sea. That's how sweet it was. You might have missed it, but
they must have blinked.
the side ones didn't.
Hypnotised by Bill.
Andy.
Stanley
Hypnotised by
Canter
Bill's.
was nice.
Yeah.
Good balance, slightly better canter.
Horses in good balance and riders in good balance.
Turn. 1, 2, 3, change.
Yep.
Better.
It looks like this is a well-trained horse. This is a little bit like Michael Young's, except he's had a mistake, which Michael didn't have any mistakes. But the striding is good.
And then the walk just let it down a little bit.
Just not a huge walk.
Is that back on course?
And that change, not now.
It
The
is-
change, that change has just let him down a little bit further.
It depends if the judges see the change or not, like the first one. But it's...
And that one's the easier one. No, so it'll be...
It'll be low 40s.
Yeah, well, it'll be better than his average.
Yeah.
And he got a 42 at Blenheim with the horse, but it probably might not be that low.
It's a nice horse.
Very nice horse.
Again, very reliable, good cross-country horse. So he's hopefully gonna stay thereabouts, and hopefully someone who stays up there on the leaderboard throughout the week.
So you're going to open up the cake, Sam, or just sit
So
and
talk me through this cake then.
This cake, well, Mary did. We have to answer a question in return for the cake, which is when we were talking about Grand Prix dressage judges, and we've just seen a very sort of traditionally bred event horse. And that was the question, is given the sort of the different physicality of the event horses, how would the Grand Prix dressage judges cope with that? And I'll hand that over to the experts.
Perfectly well, I would have said, Carl, wouldn't you? I mean, dressage is dressage.
Yeah.
Whether it's event dressage or advanced medium at the National Championship dressage or Grand Prix in Rio.
Yeah.
Dressage is dressage.
They would not make allowances because it is a specific type of horse, a pony or a horse or something with terrible conformation. The interesting thing is that when you teach a lot of riders and horses, you see so many shapes and sizes that actually do make it weird. Shapes and sizes.
47.2 is the score for Bill Levett.
Well, his average of 47.5 isn't going to change much.
No, but it's still better than his average.
By 0.3 it is.
Yeah, well.
The ladies and gentlemen, the crowd, the stands are filling up a bit. I reckon that this is going to be one of the best sessions of dressage we're going to see. So if you're out shopping and you're thinking that you're going to waltz in for the last session, I'd get in and watch some of these. We've got
on
Emily
Friday
King.
afternoon, yes.
Yeah.
It's now, isn't it? It's happening now.
It's happening.
So Emily King is coming in. Big week for her. Had a great po last year. And I'm not going to turn this into an episode of Test Match Special with the first cake arrive, but Jonathan Agnew, presenter of Test Match Special, is here today because he's going to be the BBC equestrian commentator. So just in case he pops in here, I want to see this place awash with food, but I want to raise the bar. I haven't looked at that cake.
Right,
I want to see if we want to raise the bar on this cake.
This is Rupert.
Rupert's really keen on the
well,
cake.
the idea of all the cakes, and let's see what we've got here. Oh, it's a bit...
Nice napkins.
It's a coffee cake, I reckon.
Okay, I'm not a connoisseur of cake at all.
I am.
And
of course.
Carl's on a diet, so we're going to keep it away from him.
Anyone feeling sorry for Carl, please bring some
Lettuce
low-calorie something or other for
Bring
Carl.
him a rice cake and
Just
a
an apple core would be great.
Pammy,
or a polo. Can you have a polo?
No,
there's sugar in that. That's too many calories in one.
Sugar-free polo for Carl.
Right, now somebody would be very proud, of course, out there now that's ridden around here many times. Emily's mother, Mary. Must be incredible to watch your kids go around. Sam, you'd know that. Your father must feel the same when they're watching you. I'm not sure if it's easy to watch.
It's not easy having your parents watching.
elegant rider, isn't she? I haven't seen
very
her ride
elegant.
before.
It's not easy being a parent, I can tell you.
Good upper body position. Needs to be more
Attractive
forward.
horse.
And this again, one of the favourites to give Michael a run for his money. What a story that would be. I mean, talk about she's
Who
young.
trains her?
I would say Ferdy.
I would have thought Ferdy if her mum goes to Ferdy. Really nicely maintained outline there. So for looking at an extended trot, which that was, don't just let your eyes get drawn to its legs. Make sure that the top line of the horse is lengthening as well. A good rider uses their upper body in an extension, so they bring their upper body a little bit forward to help allow the top line to lengthen.
I have to say, Emily sits well.
And then they bring their upper body a little bit back to help the horse come back in the transition. A nice walk as well.
I'm going to take my stirrups away more. That's what I've learned this week. I'm going to have a higher pitched voice.
You might end up a couple of inches taller.
How many children have you got?
Lovely. Hull. 2.
So it doesn't matter if my voice gets squeaky now. I'm done. I'm retired from stud.
5.
4, 5. Just got her leg back on in time to stop it being 6.
She trains with Olympic dressage rider Kira Kirkland.
I was about to do my Ferdy impression.
Well,
that's not appropriate now.
She...
Look at the march she's getting. Very consistent. Horse is a good mover. He's relaxed. This horse does walk through his body. You can see it's not just the over track. He really uses his shoulders when he walks. She's being quite clever there. Bit sneaky. She's not doing the medium walk. She's because she thinks he might jog.
She's a good rider.
This is
very
the best
good rider.
quality.
Good seat.
Yep.
Yes, we're all terrified of putting the voodoos on.
Yeah.
This is.
Are we talking sub 40?
Oh yeah, I mean on these scores we're talking. Watch out, Mickey.
Yes.
Okay.
We are.
But, you know, when a horse has this suspension in the paces, of course, it's so easy for us to watch. It just seems like they have all the time in the world. They're very balanced. She has to keep in mind that she can just see his right eye in the canter.
And this is fantastic for all you home fans to be
Kira
watching.
is a brilliant trainer.
But to be watching a young rider in the main arena at Badminton riding this well, that's reassuring.
Yeah. Nailed her first flying change beautifully. 7 5s and 8.
Don't forget the television, Carl, is a little behind what's going on out there.
Yes, it's not just me being slow. It is
No,
the television.
it is. Carl watching the monitor, not looking outside the window.
It's very dazzling out there, Pam.
Tiny little bit of head tilting on that half pass to the left, which is what I think the judge at C might be moaning about. You just see it in the canter a tiny bit. It's fractional, it's centimetres, it's just dropping the half mark. 2, 3, change.
Oh,
1 stride late to her aid.
Exactly.
But
So
a
the
correct
horse-
change.
Exactly. The horse was late to her, not late in his actual flying change itself. So it won't get a very low mark.
This is going close, everyone. I think this is going into second place. Go on, just last 2 changes.
Yep, lovely change. Just needs to tap him now with her outside leg before she releases it to let him forward in it. There you go.
Good. Slight hesitancy in the front leg. Just tiny little bit.
Everybody stay very quiet, wait for the last hole, wait for the salute, and then you can go mental.
Beautiful finish as well. Excellent job.
And they've done exactly as they've asked for you, Sam.
Really good test. Horse totally relaxed. Lovely walk. Beautifully ridden.
Yeah. Ridden like someone 10 years older, maybe we would describe it.
Really well ridden.
There is a chip off the old block there, isn't it?
Yeah.
I don't mean that, but that is fantastic. Emily King will be fascinated to know what score she comes up with.
I think that's very close.
Emily's
got... it's going to be very close.
She's got 1 4-star under her belt. She scored 38.3 on that occasion. She's going to beat that today. She's going to go very, very close to Michael.
Okay, we wait on
it depends on these last 4 marks.
Okay, well, while we wait on those marks, let's go back to Joe.
So Bill Levett and Improvise, the first horse in after the coffee break this morning. Tell us about that test.
It was fine, a bit disappointing. You know, I missed a couple of changes. And he never overly scores for his walk, so I was expecting that, but the changes was frustrating because he has been scoring solidly, 42, that sort of mark, and he ended up on 47, which, we were just talking about it then. If I had got the 2 changes, I'd have been, 44, 43. So, it's just frustrating, but that's the way it is now. You've got to put it behind you and get on with the next phase.
His first trip to Badminton, how's he going to take to the course tomorrow?
He should do well. He's got a horse. He's a horse with a lot of stamina. So the 12 minutes would play to his strengths more than some of the other horses. So it's a very difficult track. I mean, just got to focus on giving him a good ride at the fences and see what's underneath you. But I'm anticipating that he's going to give me a good ride. Yeah.
Bill, thank you.
No worries.
Well, I tell you what, during that interview when we heard Joe talking to Bill Levett, the score for Emily King has just gone up 36.8. Now, a first-timer at Badminton and nail that like that. Sam, as a fellow competitor with her, how impressed are you with that? And the youngest competitor coming in, weight of expectations, thank you very much, nails it.
Yeah, very impressed with her, obviously her ability, but also her temperament to do that at Badminton. We were talking a lot about watertight. I would say that was just about 1 or 2 tiny things, but Michael had that yesterday as well with his rein back, and he had a couple of things like that. So she's done exceptionally well, and she's always been proficient in this phase. But what a start.
Carl, what did you make of it?
I thought it was absolutely stunning. I mean, when we get a test like that, it's just so lovely to explain it to everybody and for everybody to see it, because, of course, then they know what we're talking about, instead of always talking about somebody's mistake or why the horse doesn't get 8s and 9s because it doesn't move well enough. That was the whole package there.
Do you think she could have had a mark or 2 more?
I do.
So do I.
I do
really
in comparison to what we've seen.
I really
so do you think that
if she had won the huge number of competitions, and this is why I think it'd be good to shake all the judges up.
Well, I think they judged her well.
They did judge her well, but I think there was another half mark here or there.
Yeah, Michael came down
I
the
thought it was a really nice test. He did make mistakes.
And he did a first halt, and I think the horse was resting a hind leg or something, or wasn't. And he got an 8.5, and it was the first 8.5 that I think that judge had given.
Yeah.
And and it wasn't a perfect entry.
But you know what? It'll do her good.
It'll do her good and a mark.
Oh yeah, she'll
just to nearly be there, because she will grab this, and you can see that easily coming into the future.
Well, she's put herself with a score like that. When you're looking at the Olympics and it being it matters in the dressage, she's given the selectors one mighty nudge.
She certainly has.
She was 4th at Pau last year in her first 4-star. She was clear inside the time. I mean, the final day will be the toughest day for that horse. He had 1 down at Pau, and that was actually an improvement. But I would just be very impressed with what she's done there.
Well, Harry Zennis is now in the arena, after all that excitement. This is his 3rd time here, and 3rd time with this horse as well. And they've had 1 completion. They finished 46 12 months ago.
I think that it's unfortunate when you ride a grey, and although it is a hot day, you can see that this horse has got quite hot very clearly. It's the one time I always wish I was never riding a grey, when they sort of break out in a sweat. And I think the reason I pinpointed that is that there is an underlying tension with the horse. I wouldn't say that was the most comfortable back to sit on in trot, would you, Carl?
No. It doesn't, and the reason is the horse isn't connected from the back to the front, so it gives him a little bit of the horse moves a little bit with stiff in his back. That's why Harry looks a bit bumpy. It's not really disconnected. It's just like there, for instance, the horse didn't step forward. He dropped the hand. He dropped behind the bridle, so Harry wasn't able to make him stand forward and actually make the halt. So that will be costly. And you can see even the walk there, when you have a horse that's not quite settled in the hand, he rolls slightly from side to side, rather than he needs to, his neck could do with being a foot longer there, and the reins maybe a few inches longer. But you can also see the horse is about to break into a jog.
I think a couple of people maybe listened to us, and reins have been longer on the whole today, and jogs have been more. So we might easily have got this wrong. They might have to hang on to them. We haven't got it wrong, but it's
just
more difficult.
If you cannot do that because your horse is hot, then please don't do it.
Yes, please don't. Hang on for all you're worth.
It's better not to have a break in rhythm than, oh, well, we've been told to ride with long reins in the walk. Yeah,
to get the neck out.
They know if their horse is going to allow them to do that.
Anyway, there is the penalty of 2 3s and a 4. And the canter also shows us the underlying tension. As we wait for the flying change, which was very easy.
Made, yeah. The horse is certainly capable. And I think it's improvement from we've seen this one before.
Yeah, you've seen him twice at Badminton.
And,
his average is a 57.
Yeah,
so
and he has improved. He is better. I mean, I certainly remember him from the last couple of years, and there are moments where he relaxes, particularly in the canter, and he gets a very nice frame, like here. There you see some good forward riding, relaxes the neck in front of the saddle. So then Harry's not left sitting in a little bit of a hammock type of back when the horse pushes his neck up. And it all looks very smooth. So these counter-canter loops, as we've seen, if your horse isn't relaxed, the canter can sometimes change its rhythm to being off a 3-beat, but he got his flying change there as well. Interestingly enough, of course, this horse does have a better flying change than, in fact, his canter stride. And we've seen a few of those, and then so it gives you hope, because you think, well, if the horse can do a flying change with a great big hind leg action, he can certainly learn to canter
He's
better.
anticipating there.
He is, but he held him to the aid. He has to keep him a little bit bent left, you can see there, like that.
How old is he, Sam?
He's 15.
I think
He's
it's going to be difficult to teach this guy. Even though
it'll just be on the day, won't it? If you get a good day, really.
He's quick, he's sharp.
He's had great spins around Badminton before, around Blenheim.
A little bit his own boss.
Giving Harry some mileage. Harry's still a young rider.
Yeah.
So Harry Zedis has finished his test, and still the buzz going after the 36.8 from Emily King. And that seems an appropriate time to quickly head off to Joe.
Well, a very happy Emily King joining me now. Ewan Brookley really setting the stage alight today. 36.8.
Yeah, no, really pleased. Thank you. He went in there and a little bit kind of propped back. He could have been a bit more forward, but in a way it was quite nice that kept him really secure in all his movements. You know, if he was maybe a bit more forward and wowy, that could have maybe, you know, had some mistakes somewhere else. So really pleased with how he just went in there. Thank you. And was very similar to how he was warming up to how he was in there, which is what's great. So you don't have to sort of change, adapt much. You know, really pleased.
Our commentary team commenting on what an elegant rider you are, how beautifully you were setting him up for the different movements, and you've been training very hard, haven't you? Tell us about your dressage sort of preparation.
Yes, I've trained quite a bit. I've spent a couple of winters with several dressage riders, and Kira Kirkland and her Richard White, who they're together, and they train me quite a lot, and they're really good for your position and your riding, which I feel really helps him. And then also Ferdy Alberg helps me as well, so I've got a couple of coaches that really complement each other, and no, really pleased. Hopefully they'll be proud.
What did Mom have to say?
Well done. No, and she said she never scored a 30-something in a full stop. I was like, okay.
Come here a second, Mary. How much more nerve-wracking is that to be watching than riding?
No, I was quite confident, well, very confident in how Emily and Brooke were going to do. He's a lovely, calm horse, usually, but you never know till they go into a ring like this as to whether they can keep cool and calm. And Emily kept calm, and no, I'm very proud.
All to ride for tomorrow. Congratulations, a fantastic test there, Emily King, 36.8. Well done.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Proud mum Mary saying to get that. Interesting, if mum never got into the 40s, she was no slouch at winning medals. I tell you what, the daughter is not just a chip over the block, she might be turn out to be even better.
I think where Mary will be pleased, the one gene she didn't pass on was the aids for the flying change. So,
you are cruel.
Well, no, it's true. I mean, Mary will be pleased to hear that. Well, she won't, but anyway, she'll agree with me, I'm sure. I mean, Mary was brilliant.
For people who don't know,
in everything, I always used to think, and then she really had timing for somebody that was so brilliant at jumping. You know, you do have to have timing for these flying changes, and Mary used to find the timing quite difficult for them.
Kira Kirkland, you know, obviously from your side, what does she bring to the party? How good a trainer is she within your circle?
Kira has her ABC of training. You know, she really has a very constructive, easy to follow methods, very much using, you know, how you use the reins and the legs and the way that the body of the rider works. It's a very easy to follow system. And of course she's been successful for many, many years and produced many different horses. This must be interesting for her coming into the eventing world, because as we've seen, a lot of these horses, you have to be a little bit more adapting in your training. But Emily's horse, as Mary just said, is a very calm horse. It's a very dressage-y type of horse to train, and so obviously the system has worked brilliantly.
Okay, coming into the arena now, just about to start his test, is another of the Germans here, Andreas Dibowski, and it is a 1 and 3 as far as the leaderboard is concerned, and he is on board FRH Butts Avedon. And how do you think he's going to get on? Quickly, Statman.
Yeah, I think Emily's going to be surrounded by Germans in a minute. She already is, but this combination, they've performed a 35 before at 4-star level. That was at Lemulin, again on home soil, so maybe a little bit generous, but he's done 7 4-stars in the last 6 years, and his average is 41, so he's very proficient in this phase.
I found it quite interesting that he actually walked.
This horse, the first major fault he's had was the walk pirouette. You can see there the score 544. The reason for that was one stride sticking to the floor. The horse's hind legs should not, and what you will see if you're looking side on, very often a common fault will be the horse moving his hind legs to the side to come around. The horse's hind legs should just go up and down underneath his body, and the front end is the one that's turning. So the front end crosses over, not the hind legs in a pirouette, in a walk pirouette.
This is another horse by Heraldic, who we've seen a lot of good German horses by him. He's a thoroughbred, so it's a bit like we've seen a couple of Master Imps and a couple of Heraldics.
Presentation of the Germans with their lovely halt. These are the details that you have to work on. Again, because this horse isn't a very big mover, he's neat and tidy, and he's well turned out and well presented, and he's trying to make sure that the basics are really
And he
correct.
rides this horse so well, because I know I'm being quite quiet during this, but it is the 7s test. It doesn't quite sort of throw 8s at you, and he's such a good rider. I haven't quite nailed. Is it because it isn't loose enough, or
it's not loose enough,
forward enough
or
over
with
the
enough
ground,
suspension?
And it's probably, you probably might not just be able to do that with this guy.
What he doesn't have, you can see a hollow transition as well. I don't think the horse really likes a contact, and that comes across to me through all of the work. He's being careful with how much contact he feels with the mouth, because you can see when he does increase his contact, the horse protests.
Well,
by hollowing.
Quite well, wouldn't it?
You'd love this. Yeah.
Andreas likes to breed doves and exotic birds.
Oh, we get on a treat. I love doves and birds. Mine are breeding like rats at the moment.
How is your parrot?
My parrot is heavenly. He's learning more words. That was a tight flying change.
Now, not everybody would know that your pride and joy was a parrot.
And does your parrot tell you off for eating, when you don't eat, suddenly sees you eating something a little naughty? Does your parrot say no?
I've taught her to say some bad words.
Put it away, Carl. Yeah. Put it away, Carl.
She is.
That's probably something
She
else,
sometimes sits with me when I'm teaching. That slightly alarms my pupils, I must say, when the parrot sat next to me and I'm teaching.
No, Sam, back in the box.
Yeah, so again here, this is too open.
It's
so
just
you can
fragile to the contact.
Yeah, it's as bad a fault as being overbent. So your horse can be too short in the neck, but it also, like this, can be too open where the contact and the connection is missing. Better here, coming back into contact again.
He's been twice runner-up here, has.
Was that?
Andreas. Not him, but this
Right.
horse, but has. I still can't get my head around
Still
that.
some very tidy movements, and it's still, again, it still has that ease to it, which is
That's why the
making the points coming
7.5,
through.
but just cautious to the 8. So you watch the left hind leg coming through, and then you can see the front legs. And for those of you wondering how to watch them, watch this hind leg to the right, and that's how you see a clean flying change. So those were always going to be, but again, you know, the 6.5, 7.5 to the 8, it's just that little bit of cautiousness and lack of forwardness, but I don't think a person could get more marks. I don't think that's easy to ride.
So where is that? How close?
Early 40s. The pirouette cost him quite dearly there with the 4s. And then some of the trot work were hovering around the 7s. It should be around 40, I would have thought.
I still can't get my head around the fact that no German has won badminton before. In the history of the event. It is, I think, one of the great anomalies, given their complete dominance of equestrian sport at times.
Yeah, well, it could change. I mean, you have to remember, Pammy mentioned it yesterday, what a job Chris Bartle has done. And again, it's a thing I talk about a lot, recency bias. Just because they're dominating everything right now doesn't mean it was always the way. So it's more a testament to Chris as to where he's got them right now.
Well, we mentioned Carl's got a signing at 1:20 at the Equestrian Book Fair, but if you are just wandering around and you want to go and you're listening to us on your earpiece, and if you want to go and see William Fox Pitt, I want to see who get the longer queue, William Fox Pitt or Carl Hester.
Well, it's badminton, so I'm
Oh, and
hoping
if
it'll
it
be
is-
William.
yeah.
No, defensive. He's been defensive.
Oh,
And
rubbish.
if it is William, don't tell him.
But he is at the Horse and Hound stand for them
Listen,
doing
if
the
we were
signing.
at the national championships, dressage championships, and William had a bigger queue than me, I'd be upset. If it's badminton and William has a bigger queue,
I'll tell you,
totally
the biggest
respect
queue I've ever seen for a rider was for Charlotte at Vegas, where she was doing her signing at 10:30.
Was she wearing clothes?
She was at 10:30. It was a signing. The gates opened at 8:30. There were already people queuing to get into the stadium at the Thomas and Mack Arena, and they'd come down. Even people come down for Alaska to get a bit of Charlotte.
Wow!
And the queue just stretched forever. It took. I was slightly gobsmacked by that.
It's interesting. The Germans sold power in dressage, and Vallegro has sold the whole of softness and beauty and ease and harmony.
43.6 for Andreas, and the person from Alaska's husband was an ice trucker. Just no cliche, just an ice trucker from Alaska whose wife.
I remember that now. You tell me that. Yeah.
And I went, what's this about? And then I was in a coach, and people said, you know Charlotte, and they started bursting into tears with me because I knew Charlotte.
With you?
Well, they just suddenly said, you know Charlotte? Oh, she's wonderful, and started crying on this bus to the Thomas and Mack Arena.
But isn't it fantastic that
Rags to
it's got
riches.
that level of celebrity now?
Well, Carl, has it ever happened to you? People cry when they see you.
It has actually.
Pammy's made loads of people cry.
Yeah, you
Including
Including me.
different reasons for making them cry. That's the thing.
Yeah.
This is a beautiful picture.
Stunning.
Lara de Liedekerke Meyer from Belgium.
Ducati van den Overdam.
Well, it's just made a very good entrance.
So she was here with this horse in 2014, and she did a 49. So that is beatable, looking at how she started. I didn't hear Emily King's interview, but did she say that her mother didn't do it?
She said, I think my mother never did anything in the 40s.
In the 30s.
In the 30s.
Yeah.
Well,
Her mum certainly did things in the 40s.
Yeah, clearly.
She's wrong, because in the year 2000, which is beyond what you can get publicly available, but it's in the archives, her mother finished on a score of 37.8 on Star Appeal.
Wow.
Okay.
So, if anybody's
Mary is
near
getting
Mary,
older.
tell her we've just announced to the
Yeah,
world.
but at that stage, Emily King was 4.
Well, that's why she doesn't remember.
So here, the walk pirouette. Yeah, you see, so we don't want the hind legs stepping left. We want the front legs coming around. So that's not too bad. It was slightly wide. You could see that on the bigger side.
It's quite big.
Yeah. Better to have these bigger pirouettes where the hind legs keep moving. That's going to be sort of around the 6s. Than small with the sticking, which we've seen getting the 4s. It's sweet, this horse.
Yeah,
it's,
it is.
it's again lacking
attractive,
power. it's a twinkle toes
Dainty,
picture.
dainty.
Yeah.
Technical term that I've come up with.
They were 10th here
Very
2 years
nicely
ago.
turned out.
These two.
Could have a little bit more bending with the eyes looking towards the H marker. That I learned from Christoph Hess. Point the eyes at the marker.
I tell you what, this horse, he's only 13 now, but when he was 11, he went clear around Badminton, which was the wet year, the famous wet year, and then he went clear around Weg the same year, which was also really difficult. So he's obviously as brave as a lion.
And she's just got a 5-month-old daughter.
2,
Oh, wow.
3, 4,
I
5.
like this combination.
And a half.
Chiara.
You mean 4.5?
4.5, yeah.
Yeah, I knew that. We've sort of got, listening to
They need
Sam
to get that
Birdling
final
about,
foot down, don't they,
Yeah,
before
they
they
do.
actually push off.
Rupert and I were going for the human story.
Yeah, you're starting to talk
two
babies.
You can be technical.
Well, I certainly can't be technical.
Well, there just could be possibly people watching this today interested in the dressage side, not the breeding side.
Well, she's married to Kaya Stefan Meyer, who's a no slouch as a show jumper.
Well,
Or eventer.
Or event rider, even. I should read my script here.
She sits very nicely in the dressage as well. She is
So she's got
not
a
having
fitness back.
perhaps the amount of bend that's going to score high marks. As Pammy said, she needs to turn the horse's front of the face. What he tends to do is twist his neck when she bends rather than have that nice soft look around the leg.
It is a very attractive horse. And just with a little bit more power, a little bit more soft bending, I think well capable of getting better marks. The flying change
Not
was
a good change.
not good.
As you can see,
It's
he leapt
easy to say
forward
that.
and brought his hind legs down together. Not late, but we would call that short behind. Quite sure how he managed some of those marks. But it's a good canter, though.
Carl's
it's a
noticed an
very
8, a
nice
5
canter.
and a 7. Big difference between the 5 and the 7. You've gone a little off the rails today, Carl, with the judging. It's not quite as solid. Yesterday I thought was mistake-free.
Yeah, this horse's canter is my favourite of his paces. There's a nice moment of suspension. He's more uphill because he's more engaged in canter, so that's how she's able to have him more uphill. The trot was lacking the push.
He's also settling the longer this test goes on.
It's better.
Why are we struggling with changes if we've got it, or well, the first one with a good
That was
counter?
just her timing that
Okay.
was slightly off as a rider there. She didn't actually aid him on the right stride, so that's why he had to get a short one in. He didn't have time to find the suspension. So the right leg will ask, the left leg will slip forward on the rider, that is. So that's obviously a slightly weaker change for him, this one to the left.
I think she could bring
better.
her new inside leg forward and her hip, and it didn't come forward for that one either.
I'm afraid that's the rider, though.
Yeah.
Because the canter is certainly good enough to make nice flying changes.
Lara speaks 4 languages, Carl, so you won't get off the hook. She will. She
I'm
will
quite
get
happy to tell her her time is up the creek.
Well, she's finished now, and but
It's a shame. It was going to be a lovely test. I mean, that 49 that she had performed here 2 years ago, I thought she was going to be well clear of that, but she's crept her way back towards that.
Well,
sort of
if
mark.
she's going to appear next year, nail those flying changes.
Go and see Carl Hester a week beforehand.
Not a week beforehand. This is the problem.
Oh, come on.
This is where event riders have improved over the years. I mean, we did used to get there on the Monday. We need our changes by Thursday. Are you free tomorrow? Well, how about looking at a 6-month program to really nail these changes properly? Because that is what you're looking at. And I mean, the most difficult horse I ever had was Escapado, and I mean, he took 2.5 years to learn flying changes. He did go on to be a very lovely Olympic horse for me, but I am well used to that now, saying that to somebody, we cannot fix changes within weeks or often months. I mean, he was particularly difficult, but then a lot of these horses are thoroughbred as well, like he was. Hotter, they get themselves in a bit of a knot about it, and you can really be looking at a year to 2 years to train them.
My favourite time is when they finish their last event, if they've come off that sound, because they're in peak condition, wide awake, you can teach them the changes, and then they can have their holiday.
Yeah.
Well, we've got coming into the arena now is Petina Hoy, but let's quickly hear from her compatriot Andreas Dibowski.
Andreas Dibowski, 43.6 for your test there. What are your initial thoughts?
I was absolutely happy with my horse because he was really calm. Yesterday and the day before, when the cross country from the younger horses were, he was really crazy, and so I'm absolutely happy with this dressage test with him.
Now, you've been second here twice before. Have you done enough, do you think, today to be in the running for the end of the weekend?
Maybe I start now to think about that, but until the dressage test, I try to be only focused on this, and now I make the next step to the cross country, and then we will see on Sunday. So step by step.
Andreas, thank you.
And Lara scored 48.3. That was Andreas Dibowski, whose score was 43.6, which means he's tied for 8th at the moment. And Petina Hoy, the very experienced, again, many people thinking that she might be able to go sub 40, perhaps here today on this glorious afternoon. I've just had a text. As a lot of people being naughty in their offices today by listening to us. Very good. Thank you very much. Listening to us online. Just had a tweet from a Sally Besley who wants to... She's even said rudely that I seem to sounding knowledgeable about dressage. I don't think it's me that she's listening to then, because I'm out of my depth. But I'm with Carl Hester, Pammy Hutton and Sam Watson, who do know what they're talking about. Petina Hoy, what's the stats saying about her?
Well, she did a 42.8 here last year, and she's managed to go into the 30s on occasion, and more recently at Belton. So it's a good example, though, of Petina's a really, really good rider in this phase, which Pammy and Carl will point out in a few minutes' time. But she's improved this horse a lot. He was difficult, and he's now starting to put some good tests together.
Yeah, I mean, some of us will remember the days when Petina was the leader here several times at Badminton. She was really bringing dressage to this level. Let's see, what she has to do here, if I was going to be critical, is the outline isn't changing. The steps there's a big trot there, but the outline is staying a little bit too tight. It doesn't look like the easiest shape of neck because he's a little bit hollow just in front of the saddle. He drops his neck there.
We're back to a V rather than a U.
What year do you think she first competed here?
96.
I don't know. I remember her in Athens when she went went before the bell. 1985. So it must have been before that. Really?
Oh, that's the year I was born. She won't like that, will she?
Well, I don't know. I don't really know her. So.
That's amazing.
We're back to
what a long time
again.
at the top.
The problem here is the as Carl said yesterday, when you're looking at these horses, you don't really want to see under the neck a sharp V. You want them to open the neck enough so that you can see a U. And this horse is, I'm not saying it's the rider's fault, wouldn't dare, but it's not easy to allow that neck out and maintain the impulsion.
Yeah. And what we all have to remember when you're a rider, you know, if the horse gets ridden with a short neck, that will mean that you end up doing a lot more of the balancing. You know, the horse needs its neck to balance. So therefore, that's why we want it a little bit longer in the neck, so he can balance himself. It will help also bring his hind legs more forward.
He's managed to do that in the walk.
Yeah, exactly. We can see it there. A very still hold. Very good.
4.5.
Accurate.
Allowing her to ride the walk, which is nice. See, straight 8s there for the walk to the hole.
Yes.
Have helped her overall score.
This now suddenly.
I wonder who's looking at the scoreboard. If any of these riders go across there and just look up and think,
that'll do.
6, 9. Has she got 9 there?
Do you watch the scoreboard?
I do.
9, 8, and 7.5. I can't see.
You do or you don't?
I do, yeah. Because then I know if I need to use my legs a bit more in the rest of the test.
Do you not just ask the judges as you go past? how am I going here?
No, but it does infuriate me when I go past and they say it loud enough that I can hear the word 6.
I've said that.
Number 6
I
or
said
something.
that. I said I feel like stopping and pointing out that they're completely wrong.
Very nice half pass. There she does have a good bend to the right. So she's really turning his outside eye as well. As Pammy said, both of his eyes are coming around to look there in the half pass, and the bend is not causing him to twist in his neck.
So, Carl, would you say that generally horses can get tighter in the neck in trot or
kicked
canter?
at her. Samuel, sorry to cut across you, but to some this...
That was a disobedience
yes,
more
it
than
was.
It wasn't her aid that was wrong. The horse was just disobedient to her leg.
He kicked at her.
Yeah, and he's been penalised heavily there with a 3-4 and a 3. Didn't see it coming either, because,
No.
I mean, I must say, he does look relaxed and he looks rideable.
And there was no need for it either.
He just gave her the 2 hooves, didn't he, really?
He did.
She leaked.
Yes, as
well, it's Matt Ryan's phrase.
yeah, it was. It's a good phrase because if everything was clean
Just
and
doesn't sound
happened,
right, though,
as
does it?
Emily King showed us,
Yep.
those top scores are achievable.
I mean, this horse is getting some nice points, but he's also having those few errors that will just, he's better there.
More obedient change, those still sort of humping up at her a bit.
So you would still say with that change, although it's correct, you could see from the side that the horse is croup high. So again, that can't give it a very high mark. So his croup, his hind legs have to stay down, and his front head should come up.
That was an obedient change and straight. So that shows you how capable and easy he could make them.
Yep.
And another one. So, poor Bettina, that was real mean.
Well, I mean,
The
she still
horse.
has some good things.
Yeah,
so
it has, but
certainly far
she
from
likes
a disaster.
leading, doesn't she?
She would do like to lead, but he wouldn't.
So Petina Hoy has finished.
Nice touch there, of course. So the horse is
She
grazing
was
at the end of the
fifth here
test.
last year on the horse, so yeah, she definitely would have been.
I think that horse was trained to pick the grass, if you ask me, there.
It did look like it, didn't it? Yes.
She knew it would bring the judges a big smile and a very large mark at the end for riding.
Okay. How do you train a horse to do that?
Well, of course, all horses want to eat, don't they? That's how
And
you,
you pat them when they
train
put
them.
their head down and you say good, you talk to them. I used to train, well, I trained one of my good Grand Prix horses to lie down. I did a Grand Prix test at Gatcombe, and within 5 seconds, had the saddle off and lay it down.
That was
And then
nothing
were
to
you
do
off
with
to
your
the
weight.
circuit? And then you were off to the circuit?
That really difficult horse
you were off
that
to the-
you rode once,
Which one?
Amanti.
Oh, blimey, that was difficult, that one, yeah.
Left your top hat on
You
the
sent
floor.
me to Italy on that.
Yeah.
Anyway, there's lots of people being naughty in the office today. Another Sally has just tweeted she's keeping up the great work and she's loving your commentary.
Good, yes, I'm getting texts from people in offices. Got to say hello to Ben and Rachel in Cheltenham.
It's Friday. Why would you work on a Friday?
Well, people do work on Fridays.
People have
We're the only one with the day off.
They go to an office, but you don't actually need to work, do you?
Well,
although I'm meant to be running a company now. My Equiratings business partner will kill me for saying that.
But where
Do you
is
mean to say you make money out of statistics?
Well, we're starting to, Pammy. I mean, it's very hard to watch any sport these days without being informed of what's going on, whether it's tennis or whatever you're watching. You're told about the speed of first serves. 43.9 for Bettina. That's a couple of marks behind where she was last year. She'd be a little bit disappointed, but
I
Pammy and
repeat,
Carl...
she will be cross with
Yeah.
her horse, and rightly so, for that one change where it kicked out.
Well, I'm no doubt we'll get a chance and see if she is cross and whether she is just...
Bold horse. That's a bad impression of
Well, you were going to do a Freddie...
What's stuck in your throat?
Who's it? You've basically done a Scottish accent, you've done a Welsh accent. I can't even speak English.
We'll see if we've got some Aussies later, but I don't want to...
No, you just go look.
Well, when I go to Scotland, I teach in Scottish. I mean, you would not know I was English anymore. I can do a whole lesson in Scottish.
Okay, give us
and Welsh,
Gaelic.
and Australian,
He's
and New
very
Zealand.
good, but he has to be in the atmosphere. He mimics.
Yeah, no, I
He's
have to be.
exceptionally naughty. He can
So
do
where do you go to in
accents.
Scotland?
Well, I used to teach at Glen Eagles.
The Trossachs?
No, Glen Eagles in the good old days when it was up and running. I think it's now the ice rink, that lovely big indoor school there, the equestrian centre.
I went there for the Ryder Cup.
Did you? Did you stay there?
I stayed in they had these porter hotels, and it was basically a tiny cabin that sort of.
Yeah, we had those in Weg. We had to sit there. You can't move.
And you can't move. And then if you shared it, it's uncomfortable.
Oh yeah.
Not that I was sharing it, but a colleague and his wife were sharing. Was anyone?
You were nearly caught out.
Too much information, Rupert.
There was a very quick change of plan, I noticed, to that story.
He's gone redder than he was in the sun yesterday.
No. I think we could bring this back to the dressage.
Yes. Okay. Who is coming
or
in?
Should we not?
Janelle Price for New Zealand. Classic Moe, again, a well-known combination.
Yeah, she was 4th place at the World Games with this horse. She exceptionally fast round on that occasion. So,
and one of the horses that had to be represented at the trot-up.
You keep referring to that. Actually, this one
Well,
looked fine. I saw it. I thought she was quite hard done by there.
Okay, well,
I hope the judges aren't listening to this. I'm going to get into real trouble. Some of them are judging at the Olympics.
But
don't tell them I was saying all this.
I'm going to tweet
getting
it
wimpy
later.
now. I'm getting wimpy now. Pammy, don't get me in trouble again.
So Janelle suffered a little bit there with the big canter coming in that the horse then lost the balance and stepped back.
It will depend how straight she was from the front. Not straight enough with a 6.5 from the judge at C. She's going quite quick in this car.
Yeah, if she just brought, again, the neck up, the horse is unbalancing herself a little bit because the horse is forward. It tends to tip over the bridle, and then the poll, which is just behind her ears, tends to get low.
However, a reasonable mark in that shoulder in.
Here she has a better chance for the extension. Of course, the longer lines the horses prefer because they have more room in front of them. And, of course, there we can see she's more uphill because the curves of the first dog leg aren't taking her down in the neck. A lot of horses lose balance in that first medium trot. Again, for us, looking at it, you know, like there, her left ear is definitely down.
And it
so when she's in a shoulder in, that tells us that the neck is twisted and her left ear in the half pass is down.
Just
the ears have to stay
corner.
level. Yeah. That would tell us that the bend is staying uphill rather than getting the twist. A walk, well-ridden walk. Riding with a forward hand. You can see she's encouraging the horse to nod forwards with the neck. That will give it clear rhythm, so she comes to forward over the centre line. But not bad halt.
It's really interesting when you look at the angle. Some people will be seeing completely square halt, but from our line they often don't look square.
She's going for quite a safe, correct tester. This horse's average is a 50, so it's this is.
Well, considering we haven't really seen that many clean tests, I think it's worth taking that risk of perhaps a little bit less impulsion if your horse doesn't have that big movement and trying to get these mistake-free tests under your belt. Because if you can get steady sevens and get to that 70%, that's giving you your score in the 40s. Sit quiet. Oh, the horse got a bit long in the walk, ran forward, threw her hand, and then she couldn't get the leg on to make an obedient upward transition. So it's actually the
almost
canter
ran
mark
off
that'll
in
get
front
affected.
of her.
Yeah, there you are. You see a 4 and a 4 and a 5.5. So that's affected that transition.
And the horse actually is, to use the phrase, on the forehand. Could be uphill a little bit more in the canter work.
They were 20th here last year.
Even though it's getting sevens.
Well managed, that
Yes,
fine
it
change
was.
because the horse got a little bit long and almost looked like she was going to jump
She
forward.
knows it because she's now got it in a better balance.
Yeah, she sat
She
well
corrected it, yeah. His
Rupert's
left
going for the
canter is
cake.
better.
It is interesting. We've only got 3 tests in the 30s so far, but it's a high number of tests that just have had a proper mistake, you know, a proper drop down to a 4. That makes a big difference.
There was a little phase where you could have wonderfully moving horses and make every mistake in the book and still come out with huge percentages. Do you remember that time, Carl?
I do.
Do a wrong strike off, you do all sorts of things. It moved well, you got all the marks. But I would have to say in all dressage tests, these clean, clear rounds are vital.
Well, how many 9s have we seen? I don't think I can't.
Yeah, we've seen
Yesterday
some
we had a
9s.
cut. I think we probably had about 2 or something yesterday.
But we haven't
mainly for
seen
the
the
riding.
10.
I think Emily got one for her riding and Michael got one
We
for his
have
riding.
seen a 10.
Not
but,
this week.
No,
Oh, I mean,
not this week,
yeah.
at Badminton Horse Trials.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, there was always a bet with someone got a 10.
Yep.
Again, Pammy usually made money off me on that one.
Yeah, she's doing some nice flying changes. She'll be
no.
apart from the last one, where the horse again anticipated. But I also saw her letting the horse get more on the forehand that way. It was getting
Well,
down like it is there.
runs
Look, you see.
onto her hand, doesn't
Yeah.
it? And goes quietly in a downhill direction.
So Janelle Price completes. Where are we giving that? What are we thinking?
Very late 40 if she can just squeak in there.
Okay. In the meantime, let's go back to Joe with Petina.
Petina Hoy, designer 10, just coming out there with a 43.9. It's put you in 10th provisionally. What are your thoughts on the test?
I was a bit disappointed. I was a bit disappointed with some of the scores as well. They obviously didn't, and the trot work didn't quite like him. He got a little bit excited in there, but not so much. And I'm a bit disappointed with the score because I was hoping for something in the 30s, to be honest, because he's gone really well all year. So yeah.
Our commentators were picking up on the fact that at the end, after your final salute, head went straight down to grab some grass there.
Yeah, he is a relaxed horse, and I like him to do that so that he's not associating being in there with stress, but that he just knows it's a relaxing place and he can have a bit of grass as well if he wants to at the end.
So quick thoughts on tomorrow's course?
It's a big track, and I think the ground, although it's drying up a lot, will definitely contribute, and the horses have to be very fit tomorrow, I think.
So it's going to be pretty influential?
Yeah, I think very.
Petina, thank you.
You're welcome.
So she was disappointed, Petina Hoy, and just as you expected her to be, Carl and Pammy.
Yes.
47.3
I think
for
maybe when
Janelle,
she...
just say that, 47.3
Yeah.
for Janelle.
Maybe a lot of us, you know, sometimes our feeling is different than the look, and that's always important to point out. Sometimes horses can feel better, they might feel softer in your hand. That might be a question. Sometimes they're a little bit too soft and over the bridle, and so for us looking at them, they're overbent. And I think actually there for Petina, when she looks back at her test, don't you think she might see it herself? Well, she will, she's experienced. If she sees the horse trot on the video, she will realise there that when the horse is a little bit too short in the neck, then she'll understand why the points perhaps weren't 8s for the trot work.
I'm sure she will, and it's not really until you get to sit down and watch your own performance back. For me, it's generally with a glass of wine in the evening, so that I don't get too depressed.
I've got a question about Janelle's test. It's just coming from Polly Edis. So what would you do in training now with Janelle's horse to sit him up more? Thanks. Adoring the radio. Parrot's name, please.
Parrot has a boring name of Snowy because it's an umbrella cockatoo, so it's white. I didn't name it Snowy, but we call her lots of other names.
And what does a Snowy call you?
She calls me Carl, actually. She does often shout for me. But no, just to go back to Janelle's horse, it would be a question really of teaching the horse to canter on the spot, because that would bring the hind legs under and the front up. And then when you've taught the horse to canter on the spot, then you can ride forward again, so it's going uphill, rather than if you rode it forward at the moment, all you're going to do is push it more downhill.
In my book, there are 6 canters.
May well be.
Yeah.
Only 3 that...
Extended,
or 4, should I say.
medium, working, collected, pirouette canter, and a piaffe canter. Try that.
Yeah.
How's Rodolphe Scherer getting on?
And that's something you do all the time without even thinking about it or giving it a name.
How's Rodolphe getting on?
He's doing a very steady test. This is a nice horse as well. A nice bit of swing in his trot. Not so pushing regularly in the half pass to the right.
Explain that to me, a swing in his trot.
A swing means you have that moment of suspension. You can see the relaxation in the way that the horse is moving through his back. A very tidy walk pirouette as well.
It was a good walk pirouette.
And a very, you know, like if you like to see your horses with less tack on, you know, this just has a plain Cavison noseband, an easy snaffle, and the horse looks very easy in the hand. It doesn't look like there's any gimmick to it, which is nice to see. The regularity that we talk about is sometimes, you know, when a horse goes sideways, it can be either stiff or it loses impulsion, it will drop its neck, which gives the indication of him falling on the forehand, and that's when you get the head and neck nodding, which he didn't do to the left.
It can be a contact thing,
Yeah.
or it can actually just be a one hind leg a little lazier. Certainly this horse is relaxed.
First visit for Rodolphe here since 2008. He's been here 3 times, best finished 15th in 2008.
Oh, he hasn't got his square halt. 2, 3, 4 steps back only. So I think that Ryder could have ridden that halt a little bit better.
Yeah, we're going to just close his leg on him, couldn't he? As we said yesterday, if you weren't here yesterday, this year, certainly we've seen probably more relaxed horses, easy horses, due to the conditions. I mean, some of you have all been here in the past when those flags at the end are rattling and they really disturb the horses. There's been much more relaxation in the tests. And this horse, very obedient.
Nice soft upward transition to canter.
Your press officer in British Dressage, Carl, says you deserve a BAFTA for your commentary.
My goodness me.
Does she think I'm acting it or actually telling the truth? That makes me wonder.
Winnie, answer, please.
Come on, Winnie. Come through.
You do have actors in your family tree to go back to breeding.
Actor. That's right.
Yeah.
My grandfather was a commentator on skiing.
Was he?
Yeah.
Sorry,
radio,
was he?
Radio.
And your father acted
My father
in
is an actor.
my
He's been in
favourite
Star
soap.
Wars, Coronation Street. Yeah.
Exactly. EastEnders, wasn't it?
He's in EastEnders, yeah.
Yeah.
Is in EastEnders?
He was. No, he's not anymore. He's gone by the wayside now in the acting. It's not easy, as we all know. That is a profession I wouldn't want to be in. This is, I'd rather be doing this. Look at the height and the jump in that extended canter.
You learn something new every day. That's my, well, parrots and acting.
Change your opinion of me soon, Rupert.
Well, it just helps.
Still won't pay anymore.
That I do.
It's all right. Carl said that was an off-limit subject.
Oh, that was the rider, Miss Tyler. That was one of the few horses we've seen that actually was late in front. Generally, if a horse is going to be late in the flying change, it is the hind leg that will be late. But that time, the horse was late with the front leg. Easier to correct, but nevertheless, still won't score the points in this.
I think he made sure it wasn't going to be late in front, but would have lost a point or two for lack of straightness.
The horse lands a bit down
He
when
does.
he does the change.
A bit of a thud.
Oh, really
Got an extra
shame
one.
about the finish there, because he then decided to do his flying change on the last centre line.
Not what would
Clever horse, but not needing to show that.
Well, while we wait for that score, I'm going to come up with a question once I work out how to pronounce the name of the person who's tweeted us, but we'll go back to Joe, who's with Janelle.
Janelle Price here now, your lovely little mare Classic Moe. Tell us about the test.
Well, it was a little bit on the conservative side, but she's been, I mean, she's bright at the best of times, and she's been especially bright this week. So it was kind of a matter of just go safely today.
47.3, was that there or thereabouts for what you were hoping?
I would have loved to have been south of 45, but, you know, look, she's not particularly gifted in this phase. You sort of manufacture what you can, and some days that's a little bit easier than others.
So tomorrow, what are you looking forward to in particular? Give us a quick idea of the course.
Well, you know, I think her cross-country record speaks for itself. She's been pretty phenomenal over the last few years. You know, she does it very easily. She's fast. All those sort of attributes that probably make today difficult. But certainly I hope tomorrow she comes into her element and smokes around.
Janelle, thank you.
Thank you.
So Janelle Price having completed her test, and Rudolf Scherer waiting on his score as he leaves the arena. Coming in soon will be Nicola Wilson on One Too Many. This might be a good test. 47.8 was the score for Rudolf Scherer, and I'll bring you Janelle Price's score in a moment, but this could be a good one.
Yeah, quite a wide range of possibilities here. Anything from sort of mid-40s to mid-30s possible. So you've already had one British female shake up the leaderboard this morning. Keep your fingers and toes crossed that this is another.
Janelle Price, incidentally, scored 47.3, just to remind you. So what are you expecting? What's the stat man say?
Well, her best with this was 34.6 at Blair. But her average over the last 12 months is 41, which shows that she has gone up. You know, there's a bit of a range. There's about a 10-mark range, which a lot of these horses are very consistent. They come in and they'll do somewhere between a 45 and a 47 every time. This guy has clearly got ability, but probably going to be difficult to manage, as we are seeing.
Yeah, this horse is just looking into the crowd. If you are at the A end,
and
keep peaceful.
Looking at the camera,
stay very still.
actually,
yeah.
to be fair.
And someone shoot the cameraman.
No, I think the lesson is sometimes...
Actually, I'm surprised that so few horses have actually taken any notice of the cameraman.
Do you look at the cameraman, Carl?
Not when I'm riding, no.
And then he only has one good side.
Yes, that's it. Only when I'm on the left rein.
Though I can't see any difference from the right-hand side of his face to the left, but still, he's sure.
Yeah, well, she did get off to a good start, thankfully. The horse relaxed enough to stand still.
And this is a very good medium trot. If she rides all the way to the F marker.
10 metres short.
Yes, I knew you'd say that.
I know what it is.
That's a lie. It was 3 metres short.
Oh, rubbish.
He's exaggerating again about the length of it.
However, getting some good points because it is
it's
a nice picture as well, isn't it?
Very active
nice
and
control.
in a very good underlying rhythm.
The only thing we're missing here is Sid James and Kenneth Williams, because this is turning into an episode of carry on up the eventing.
Stuck in the walk pirouette.
Stuck.
Really expensive mistake. Should have done better to keep that bigger.
Yeah.
Well, at least you agree with me, so that's all right this time.
Yeah, looking at it just. He has got the right eye on the camera. You can see when he comes across there.
I told you it was the camera, not the crowd.
All right, you're right again, matron. So here, these centre lines, if you're sitting behind a centre line, you know, those hind legs should not come off the centre line. It's the front end that comes in and the hind legs stay on the centre line. It is, as we explained yesterday, it's called shoulder in because it has to be, not quarters out. And if you come around that corner onto a centre line too fast, you do end up pushing the hind legs to the side in occasions. And that's why we haven't actually seen great marks for shoulder ins, and I'm imagining we're not on the centre line, but I would think that is possibly why.
It is one of the more difficult movements to ride completely brilliantly, though, I think.
3, 4, 5.
Small steps back.
Small steps, but at least they were the correct number. Some
Active
horses
walk.
have really articulated their joints. I mean, when we've seen that some of them are reined back with these huge steps, this was economical. But a 9, there we did see a 9. And you see, because it was correct, 7, 8, 8. And a good walk. That's
Very good marks we're
walk.
getting, yes. 8s.
Where are we heading towards?
Well, I don't know, but Statman has been really clever because it gave the canter 10 metres early, to quote Carl.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, they still... No, that's the extended one. I'm not sure if the horse is just a bit twitchy. Because of the contact, or twitchy because it's a little head shaky,
or
maybe,
the camera,
or if there's a little bit of tension in there
towards the camera. I put a £10 bet on that camera.
Well, unless the horse can answer our question, you will win that, of course. Clever to bet with a horse. 1, 2, okay. It was a little tight behind, wasn't smooth and didn't contain the jump, but it was clean. So when they get to the centre line, they have to then position the shoulders left so we don't get quarters in on this last bit. And then it's good to make a transition there. Very nice riding.
That's nice.
Big, bold step. That's
huge
a brave,
steps
that's
in the
brave
extended
riding.
canter, yes.
She went for that and quietly back. No tightening in the horse's back. Should score a good mark there if it's straight.
2 8s and a 7. I'd have expected 3/8 across the board.
Easily. Turning to... Yeah.
Just a little bit.
She takes those a little early. I think she probably knows the horse might be a bit anticipated,
Yes.
so she asks a stride early to get there before the horse. I think she's riding cleverly. Well, she is a good rider anyway. She's one of our very elegant riders as well. Sits nice.
She took that again slightly early. She'd be very pleased to be turning away from that. It is the camera.
Keep the attention on the
Turn
left
her on
rein.
it.
Well done. You can see the horse is a little resistant to her leg because the horse's ears go back when she has to use her legs. It's a bit like, oh, get off.
I think the camera is an excuse, though. But
not a good enough one, but...
No, but for the horse, justified.
Yeah, there were some, again, very capable horse.
Really?
Lovely moments in there. She rode it cleverly. I think the horse gave her a slightly more tense ride than perhaps she expected in certain points.
But she was well ahead, wasn't she? She didn't look like she was saying, what on earth are you doing? She was so quick mentally with him.
Well, Nicola Wilson, are we saying sub 40?
Yeah, it should be mid-40s there. Again, we had some of the changes. They didn't go very high on the walk pirouette.
It's quite a good treat from Catherine.
A treat or a tweet?
A tweet from, and it's a treat. Really must drag myself away from the radio with Pammy and Carl. And I think presumably, and that chirpy little Irishman is fab.
Thank you.
Chirpy little Irishman. That's Sam Watson.
I think what we might do is auction Sam at the end of the day. Why don't we pick a charity of our choice? We can auction Sam.
I'm doing a course walk at 6 o'clock if anyone wants to plug along. I think I'm doing that for Irish Horse Gateway.
Okay.
So you come along to that and I'll keep
Where
chirping.
are you starting
I'll be
from?
far less chirpy though.
Well, you know what we did? We did at a recent at the dressage demo last year. We had Claire Lomas. We were raising money for her charities, and some of you might know Tristan Tucker, the Australian horse whispery type guy, and he came along. And anyway, they managed to persuade Tristan. He was auctioned up to go for dinner with some people, and I think it was already on about £1,200, and then they set off with his top, and the price doubled immediately. So, I mean, if you want to see Sam without his top on the course walk at 6 o'clock, then...
45.1. Sam will be, and it'll be a lovely evening to go for a course walk too. You know.
Yeah, lovely.
How many people do you
have to
expect?
take my top off as well.
Yeah, well, indeed. I'm not taking.
You're stumbling on your words there, Rupert. Sorry, I made you blush again.
Yeah. Anyway, into the arena is a Danish rider, Vond Ramsgard, and I met one. There were two Danish riders I met at the European Championships, and one of them is a former boxer, and I don't know whether it's Hannah, but currently she works in a cast iron. Works in a company specialising in the production of cast products for the wind industry.
Well, well, one thing's for certain, if she's
and her middle name is Hannah Wind Ramsgard.
Well, if she's that or the other, she's certainly not someone to be messing with, so we might keep the commentary a little bit quiet.
I think we should, don't you?
2 black eyes for lunch? Don't think so.
But she was so pleased. She finished 33rd at the European Championships, and she was absolutely tickled pink. Because I'm not sure what the record of Danish riders is in eventing. Sam, would you know?
Sorry, what was the question?
He's falling asleep, texting.
No, yes, he's obviously got important
I've put a
things.
great tweet out, guys. Follow AdEcre ratings. I've given you Mary. I've dug even further. She started on a better score than her daughter, but she added 1.6 on the steeplechase. So they had a steeplechase back then, which Emily doesn't. So she's already at an advantage over her poor mum.
This is a long horse.
Danish riders. What's the history of Danish riders?
Oh, well, I can tell you the history of this Danish rider.
Well, while you're looking into the history, as Carl has said, this horse is a little bit long, and some of the early transitions, Carl, to the halt and the move off could have been more connected and
it's pleasing
little
to
brisker.
watch, though. I mean, it's
very
getting
soft,
some nice,
isn't it?
Nice scores.
Moves well.
Yep, swinging along in the rhythm. Again, this when we could talk about the rhythm, it shouldn't change, and that's what you'll be able to watch when the horse does its shoulder in and its half passes, that the rhythm is the same as in a straight line. Pick that transition up before the corner, bend her elbows, and uphill, and then away in the extended trot. And some scopy steps.
So on their...
Again, a horse looking at the cameras, you can see there.
On their 4-star debut, they scored a 60, but at Blair last year at the Europeans, they scored 48. So I think we're leaning a little more towards the latter of those two, which is good.
Where you have to be careful in these shoulder ins is it's when you bend the neck too much with your inside rein. So like there, she used the left rein to bend the horse, so the horse fell to the right. And, you know, the amount of bend that you want is less, in fact, than what she did there.
The bend should be in the body.
Yeah.
Not
and the
neck.
bend should come from the leg, not the inside rein. So if you use the rein, if you use the left rein, the horse is going to fall to the right if you haven't got contact on the outside.
She has done a fabulous hold.
Although overbent a little.
2, 3, 4, 5.
Explain overbent, please, for the ignoramus.
Well, overbent, the front of the horse's face must remain on the vertical or slightly in front. And when it comes behind that line, even in an extended walk, you see there the horse is behind the
Nose
vertical.
is behind the vertical, Rupert. Can you see that?
Yes, I can.
So
I've got that.
The horse isn't nodding out. So this is a horse that perhaps you would describe as behind the contact in there in the extended walk. Although you've also got to look at the steps, which were good, but they won't be maximum if the nose is behind the vertical.
Oh, that naughty dog down below.
Oh, Carl, I've just got the first butterflies. When you were doing the dressage demo, we used to introduce it with a plom. I'm taking to running behind the bushes again after what we saw yesterday.
Oh, is it your family performing again?
Yes, we've handed the... I did say yesterday, I kind of feel I've done the demos here for so many years. It's nice for people to see something else and something different. And this year we have Pammy's son Charlie and his wife Abby, who will be taking the dressage demonstration. Very good for these youngsters to try and explain to audiences what dressage is. He also has a very nice Grand Prix also. He'll be doing a music on, which will be fun for
But it
you
is
all to
very
see.
hot, and it does spend a lot of time on its hind legs.
Well, this is the perfect place to bring it, and everybody will... we are at a 3-day event. We all know that horses can be not the easiest. It won't be a dressage audience baying for blood if things go wrong. Anyway, this horse is... we saw a late flying change up, which was costly, and when she rides this horse forward, could you see that down the long side? It pushed the horse down on the forehand. It didn't bring it into an uphill frame. A little bit difficult. And again, this is... and you see, because the horse is pulling down on her hand, what is she doing? She needs to stop.
But that would have been a really good moment to pull with the incorrect rein, the inside rein to the canter.
She's actually gone wrong. So
I know she's
I'm not
gone
sure
wrong.
that
She's going to start the serpentine, and this time she better half halt with the left
So she
rein.
got away with that late change because it wasn't actually...
It actually wasn't a late change. There wasn't supposed to be a change.
So she wants to pull here with the left hand.
It's supposed to be serpentining.
Anchor her right leg back, left rein, swing off it. Remember her serpentine, turn 1, 2, 3, change.
Because the horse is long, this is where it finds it difficult to do the changes, because it's not connected and bouncing to it. She needs almost like a small jumping canter to get these changes with this horse. Small, neat and tidy rather than big forward and long. Keep it neat. There you go.
It certainly pulls at her, doesn't it?
It does.
Downhill.
It pulls her a little bit forward out the saddle. This is quite a long canter again. Whoa. And that's what happens.
She might be tired after cross-country tomorrow.
Well, I hope she is.
Like she might have a stronger
I hope the
bit
rider's
in.
arms aren't tired.
She might have a stronger bit in, Sam.
Or she might just let it gallop. That's what I would do. Drop the reins.
Probably when the horse has got jumps to look at, it brings the forehand up.
So, the last test of this second morning of dressage of the Mitsubishi Motors Badminton Horse Trials is done and dusted. Hannah Vond Ramsgard bringing the morning session to its conclusion. It's been fascinating with what has happened. Emily King, the star turn, no doubt. And just sum up that Emily King performance for anyone who's just joining us.
Well, I think
into second.
Arguably the best test we've seen, but yeah, very close to perfection for a young person like that. To pull that off was amazing.
Yeah, I mean, it was the overall package that was so fantastic with Emily's test. It had poise, it had elegance, it had power, it had a super outline, and it really, you know, epitomised, I think, what we're looking for. The horse doing it on its own, and the rider looked like she was just guiding it, steering it around. We didn't see any obvious aids, and no breaks in rhythm or outline. It was really quality, and it set a very good standard, and that is there's a rider combination that could well lead this badminton field another time.
For me, it showed a real star of a rider in the future, because she rode in capital letters.
Well, lunch is going to be different for all three of us. Carl, one quick plug? Because, you know, I know that you're...
Well, I'm going off to the book fair stand to sign any books if anybody wanted any. And Pammy will be putting her feet up in another
120 you'll be doing.
120 I'm going to get there, yep.
Any question? And Sam, what's your lunch?
I'm going for a sleep.
Right, and Pammy, what are you doing? Where are you going?
Well,
watch your family, or
I
are you
can't
going to sneak
possibly comment at this moment with the nerves and
the children,
high pitch.
Pammy's children, and if you, as we said, if you want to see some really lovely
I'm not as laid
dressage,
back as Mary King,
then sit down and watch a bit, because Charlie did a great job explaining yesterday. Hopefully the horse will be a bit easier for him today, and he does a lovely Grand Prix to music at the end of his demo. So we'll let them take it away.
Well, have a good lunch, the three of you, and we'll be back, of course, live from 2 o'clock for the afternoon session. Beanie Sturgis will be first in, and I can tell you that Hannah Vond Ramsgard scored 55.1. But what did Nicola Wilson think of her test? She's with Joe.
So Nicola Wilson